I ain't ashamed. I'll talk to the unwashed masses.
We are currently live. By the way, we have 28 subscribers now on the
Cool
YouTube
beans. Okay.
channel. So, and I'm still not quite done with Action Comics number 21. I got, well, I got about 5 pages
I'm the
left.
one that's going to do the summary and everything for that one, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I'll talk slow.
It'll just be like,
yep.
All right. Oh, I got to pull up my
I'll
freaking
pull out
Audacity.
my forest. One day, Superman was walking. See, I don't give you time to read it.
He was not walking. He was running.
No, that's only forest.
Forrest has somewhere to go. He was running. I love that movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I used to watch that about once every 2 years. I think it's about time to
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while either.
Watch it again. Okay, we got 2 folks joining us live. Peace. If you are watching us through the YouTubes, cut it out. That's what was his name?
Family.
It's Full House. Dave Coulier.
Coulier, yeah. Who I believe he's dead now.
Hello, Terry Moore.
Is he still with us?
I'm not sure. I don't think he's dead. The dad from the show is passed.
Saget, Bob Saget.
Yeah, Bob Saget. He's gone.
So if there are 2 watching us on the YouTube and one has spoken, who be the other? Chime in. Let us see who you be.
Chime in. Okay, let me get my
that's a little bright, but not much I can do about that.
Let me get my online on the desktop Kindle back to
Doug. There's number
page
2.
1. Doug. Why is this going so slow? Don't be so slow. Don't be slow. All right, there we go. Pull up my show notes.
Speaking a little, I don't know, a week or so ago about Tatiana Maslany, and I suggested, and you had also heard about Orphan Black.
Mm-hmm.
IDW did a series of books based on that show. So if you're able to get a hold of the books, that would give you kind of the timbre of the concept itself. Now the show was much better than the books, but
yeah, I looked up what the show was about. It sounds really interesting.
It's
a shame it's not streaming on, and I have pretty much most of the streaming services.
Isn't it streaming on HBO?
Mm-mm.
I thought it was HBO that it was on.
Not according. Well, let me go to my.
I was going to say, Terry Ann out there, look and see if somebody wants to stream Orphan Black, where they would have to go. She was a huge fan of the show. She got me interested in the show. Actually, she watched like the first season and suggested I watch starting the second season. I liked it, went back and watched the first. And
yeah, it's got, I use that, the Just Watch app.
Okay.
It says, I can buy it.
Oh yeah, of course.
On Apple TV and Amazon, all those places.
There's got to be somewhere that it's streaming right now. Somebody has to have the streaming rights for that.
You would think. Where did it originally air? Do you remember? Do you know?
Was it on AMC?
AMC
Apple
has
TV,
their own.
Vudu. Terry said Apple TV, yeah. Vudu, and Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that's where you can buy it. If it was on AMC, AMC has their own Plus app now that you pay for to stream their shows. So,
Well, if you had Amazon Prime, you should be able to stream it because I think it's included in the cost of Amazon Prime. Now, Apple TV, you'd have to pay.
yeah.
And
All right,
Vudu is the same. If you had the service, of course you would. But I think if you have Amazon Prime, it's
You
just
do.
available there to stream.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
When next
Not
I'm
trying
in
to
front of
be
the
pushy about it. Just
stop bullying me.
you were really a big fan of She-Hulk, and I just want to
And
help you find something where Tatiana does a better job.
Yeah, I really did like her in that too. She's one of the reasons I really like that show. I thought she was great. All right. Check it out. These are my notes.
Oh, on cards.
Yeah. I'm gonna do the David
Give a
Letterman and be
speech
like,
all. Throw them, yeah. Throw them at the camera.
That was my David Letterman.
Yes, I recognized it.
All right. You ready to get rolling up on this dog?
Yes, sir.
I think we can get through hey, Trusty Mutsy. You know who that is, don't you?
I recognize that handle, but I don't know who is behind it. No.
Harold Jennett.
Oh, all right, Harold.
Hey, Harold.
Should you release his real name, or are we just going with street names here?
Too late.
Don't want to overstep.
Sorry,
Harold.
Here's the thing. The only reason I even felt slightly comfortable doing that is because whenever he always loved hearing Bill McGonnell say his name on Half Hour Wasted. It was like he would always talk about it. Hey, Bill, say my name on Half Hour Wasted.
Yeah, that's what happened. Been doxxed.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm tweeting out all your
because you're an a-hole.
I am. I will be the second to admit that.
You're going to tweet out his address and everything.
Yeah, I've already done it.
He's making calls about kids and women and yeah.
That's right. All right. Let's see. Do we normally do it like we don't do it like that, do we?
It doesn't matter, I don't think, because we don't really show book pages or anything. Doug, make sure that you follow through and watch all of She-Hulk. I think you'll really like it. His mother's maiden name. What's the last four?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Is that what you said?
What grade school did you go to? What's your favorite color? Your favorite teacher's name?
First pet's name.
I was just I don't even remember what I was on, but it had me put in some security questions, just in case. And some of them were just, 4 or 5 of them were all pretty much the same question. It's like, who was the first concert that you went to see? And I'm like, all right, I'll choose that one. Kiss. Who was your favorite band growing up? Well, Kiss. Kiss. I'm not going to have 3 questions with the same answer.
Right. Yeah. But then you won't remember it. They asked my favorite, and I think that was my second favorite that I put there because, I am so over having to have a login and password everywhere I go online. I just.
I really like my iPhone because it's, it has that password area it'll store all that stuff for you. So for, I think the last time I reset my password on Twitter, I just let it choose one. Because I didn't have to worry about remembering it because I can look it up on my iPhone. So as long as I have access to my iPhone,
as long as
I'm okay.
As long as it's powered up and ready to go.
All right. I've been recording on my Audacity for a while now.
Oh, I haven't. Thank you for saying something. Let's see. We want to record. Okay, it's gone.
So if you're watching this video right now and you seeing that comment from Trusty Mutsy and the little avatar image that goes with it, that's from our old web comic. Our adventure continues, and that's actually Harold right there in the background. That's not Harold in the foreground. I'm reading more of his favorite pet, Scooby-Doo. I had a friend in high school whose dog was named Scooby-Dude. True story.
Cool.
He was a good dog. All right. Let's do the 1, 2, 3 clap, and then we'll We'll get rolling here. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Those are a little off.
Yeah, that's all right. For those of you watching the video, we are getting ready to do episode number 27. This will air on Monday, November the 7th. So really, really quite happy to start doing these again. All right, here we go. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 27, Superman and the Runaway. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Howdy.
It's been a bit.
A little bit, yeah. Needed a reset, so that's cool.
I've started, of course, you know this, but I've started editing the comic addiction episodes for y'all, and I have to say that it's I enjoy doing that. But as I'm listening to these episodes, as I'm editing them, I have to resist the urge to go on Twitter and leave comments about the episode because it's not up yet. But sometimes I feel like I'm listening to an episode that's been posted, and it's like, oh, they did here. They said this. I want to comment on it, but it's not. It's there's nowhere for me to comment on it, and it makes me a little bit sad.
Oops, sorry about that.
So yeah, how have you been?
Just doing the same thing as everybody else, just working and although I have started a small peu, as they say in France. Is that French? Peu. And you guys can't see it, but I have the little bit fingers on the camera here. Well, no, you can see it. The podcast people can't see it. Sorry, I get the two confused. Anyways, small exercise regimen, and tomorrow will be a week that I have maintained it. So I guess that's a positive.
Nice. Yeah.
It is very, very high on my list of things I do not like, but it'll be a week tomorrow. So.
Yeah, being active is something that I just do not enjoy at all.
Well, no, being active in doing something, I enjoy very much. Being active to be active, I do not like.
It's because like when
that is called work in my book, and I have one of those, and I apply that for 40 plus hours a week, and I don't, Now, if we go to a convention and walk around for 5 hours. Okay, that doesn't bother me.
Yep.
But walking on a treadmill just it eats me up inside.
No thanks. Harold says gym people suck.
I started strength training. Trusty Mutsy, what made you bring up Strangers in Paradise and the RIP? Is this Jamie's anniversary or something like that? We can go on, Stephen Hill.
Could because of your wife's name made him think of it. Because her name's Terry Moore.
Terry Moore. I love Strangers in Paradise, Mr. Moore. Oh no, that's my wife, Terry Moore, not like dude Terry Moore. Although I like Strangers in Paradise too. That's why I'm asking. Stupid joke. No, it wasn't stupid. There could be a variety of things going on behind the scenes that I am clueless about. So, but yes, I always go back. Strangers in Paradise, I have enjoyed for years, and it was because CGS's Jamie D constantly talked about it until finally I was like, okay, I just got to see what the dude is talking about. It can't be that good.
Yeah.
Well, it was pretty close to being that good, and so I always give Jamie D the nod for getting me interested in Strangers in Paradise. Now I have read every Strangers Universe book that Terry Moore has put out. I've read some of his other, here and there, but all of his, and I can't think of what he calls his universe, but the SIP universe, read all their books. They even have one going now, Parker Girls.
I was in the same thing. Jamie D talked about it all the time on CDS. And I remember I checked it out. I just really could never get access to a lot of the trades because I didn't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So one of these days I'm going to have to go into Comixology and just see what
See
I
if they
can
have
get.
it, or
Yeah.
just watch and get them when they're on sale, because they now have it. All of the Strangers in Paradise and like big books, so you would buy like 4 of them maybe, and be
Yeah.
able to get everything, something like that. So you never mentioned Superman. What? No, we'll do it.
Yeah. Trusty Musty, for those of you listening to the show, has just announced to us that his goal is to make sure we never mention Superman once. He's going to keep us so off topic tonight. Not going to happen, Buster.
Is to help
Buster
us
Brown.
swerve in our glory.
That's right.
Isn't
Speaking
that
of
right,
which,
Terry? She'll recognize what that is.
Speaking of which, so today we're looking at Superman and the Runaway. This appeared in Superman issue number 3 from 1939. We'll get into dates here in a minute, but I do want to mention that issue number 3 has 4 stories in it, and we always try to just stick with 1 story per episode. But I wanted to mention this because Superman and the Runaway is one of the stories, which we're talking about here on episode 27. There are 2 stories in the issue, though: Superman and the Dam and Superman's Phony Manager. Those were both reprints. Superman and the Dam was from Action Comics number 5. And we actually talked about that on the Superman Super Show episode 5 from back on May 16th. Superman's Phony Manager was from Action Comics number 6. And we talked about that on the Super Show on episode 6 from May 23rd. And then the 4th story in the book is Superman and the Jewel Smugglers. And we'll be talking about that in the next episode.
Cool beans.
So I just want to make sure everybody was aware. So Superman and the Runaway was written by Jerry Siegel, pencils by Joe Shuster, and the inks were by Dennis Neville. You know what? I don't think we have to keep saying that Superman was published by DC Comics. I don't think we need to say that anymore. I think that's pretty well established. But it had a cover date on the book of winter 1939, and according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, an on-sale date of November 15th, 1939. I noticed today when I was putting all these show notes together that like when I looked at this particular issue on Mike's Amazing World of Comics, which was a website that I am so happy you introduced me to, Ed, because I love that website so much.
Can you imagine the amount of work that he has put into that thing?
He is
to be the resource that it is. It's just
he's a hero. But for a lot of these issues, when we talk about a lot of these issues, he would have listed approximate on sale date.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I noticed this one had on sale date, and I checked a couple of the others that we're going to talk about tonight as we're recording multiple episodes. And I noticed that some of them say on sale date and some of them say approximate on sale date. So I am now specifying in the notes. So if it says on sale date, that's what it says on the website. If it says approximate sale date, that's what it says on the website. So
cool beans.
So I'm going to give the synopsis from dcfandom.com, and y'all need to hold on to your lunch because this will be the longest synopsis I think we've ever done. This is freaking long.
If you want 1, 2, 3, 4, after you get done with 4 of the paragraphs, I'll take over and finish it out.
Okay. So you'll start with the night Clark changes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Let me see if
la 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 la.
Oh
no! Well, you sang some, but you were drum, right? So you need to loosen up those wrists for this.
Yeah, I wasn't, and actually, it's funny because when you were talking earlier about exercising for exercising's sake, or being active just because you're supposed to, when I was a drummer, we would get together and practice 3 nights a week for like 2 hours, and that was the best exercise I ever got.
Yep.
And I've always been a big man, but I really didn't start packing on a lot of the weight until after I stopped playing drums. And
for your chosen style of music, drumming is rigorous. So, it's not like quiet cafe jazz.
Yeah, and I was never a subtle type of player. I
Oh,
never,
okay. Well, then, yeah.
I
See, there you
I
go.
never had the kind of control where I could just ding ding ding. You know, I just boom 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 and went through a lot of sticks, a lot of drum heads, and a lot of cymbals. It's an expensive instrument to play.
It can be for
Very
sure.
expensive. All right, so here's what happened in the issue or in the story. While walking to work, Clark spots a small boy passed out on the railroad tracks, and a train was incoming. Quickly changing to his Superman duds, he runs out, speeding past the train, scoops the boy up, and leaps them to safety. Before the kid regains consciousness, Superman returns to his civilian identity of Clark Kent. The boy's name was Frankie Dennis, a ward of the state orphanage until he ran away. He tells Clark it's because Superintendent Lyman treats them like slaves, feeding them leftovers and hiring them out to forced labor. Frankie himself has been beaten and forced to scrub the floors several times. Clark wishes to help Frankie make things better for him and the other kids at the orphanage. If Frankie goes back to the orphanage, he can act as Clark's inside man, letting him know what kind of bad things were happening. After some thought, the boy agrees to return if it would help the others. Clark and Frankie stand at the entrance to the state orphanage as Frankie nervously knocks on the door. Superintendent Lyman opens the door, and once he sees Frankie, he begins yelling at him for running away, grabbing him by the arm. But when he sees Clark, he lets the boy go and immediately switches to a friendly demeanor. Lyman thanks him for finding Frankie, who he was worried sick about. Clark is told he can come back anytime for a visit before retreating with Frankie back inside and closing the door. The man's suspicious behavior puts Clark on high alert, and he certainly does intend on visiting again very soon. Later, back at the Daily Star, Clark asks Lois out for lunch, only to be rebuffed, just like always. George Taylor calls him into his office and gives Kent an assignment to investigate the orphanage, which is very serendipitous, I found. Taylor heard about how Superman saved a runaway's life and wanted to find out more. Clark accepts, suggesting Lois also comes along to help out. When Clark and Lois arrive back at the orphanage, they find out they were followed by two reporters from a rival paper trying to scoop them. Superintendent Lyman answers the door after a few minutes, happily inviting Clark and the others inside to look around. On the surface, everything seems normal. Normal is what I said. On the surface, everything seems normal. The children are happily playing in the yard, but a little girl who seems to be lying about where she got her bruised arm and a kid who was too exhausted to get out of bed piques Clark's suspicions. Frankie tries to tell Clark something, but Lyman's sudden appearance causes him to clam up. Eventually, Clark and Lois have no choice but to leave empty-handed with nothing but a seemingly ordinary children's orphanage to show for their time. After the reporters leave, Lyman turns on Frankie and punishes him for almost squealing by locking him in the attic. The other children are told to go back to work or else.
That night, Clark changes to Superman and leaves off to get another look at the orphanage, not believing the superintendent's good guy act for a second. In her apartment, Lois gets the same idea, worried for the child's safety after the hints of abuse she thought she saw. Unaware of each other's presence, Superman and Lois arrive at the orphanage in the dead of night. Lois stealthily sneaks in through a window while Superman peers through Lyman's office window to spy on him reading over his secret account book. Upstairs in the attic, Frankie begins making a lot of noise by smashing things until they let him out. Lyman irritably goes up to give the boy a piece of his mind, allowing Superman the chance to go in and look over the accounts. The entries written for the price of food were abnormally high. Superman takes off for the grocery company, and that's capital letters, grocery company, to do some comparing. Just as he suspected, the prices in Lyman's account book were raised to cover his grafting scheme. Lois, meanwhile, creeps down the hallway following the sound of pained cries coming from the attic. She opens the door to find Lyman whipping young Frankie. She threatens to print Lyman's abuse of the children. In response, the superintendent locks her in the attic with Frankie and begins packing up all the money he's gathered. To make sure Lois never tells a soul, He pours a trail of gasoline across the hall leading to the attic door and ignites it with a match. Superman returns to the orphanage in time to see it in flames and Lyman fleeing the scene. Superman grabs the car and pulls Lyman out, applying a light tap to the back of his head to knock him out. While most of the kids have escaped the fire, a cry for help from inside the building brings Superman to the attic window where he sees Frankie and an unconscious Lois Lane. He carries them both to safety just as the police start to show up. Leaving the area to change, Superman returns as Clark Kent, telling the police that it was Lyman who set the fire. The screaming superintendent is arrested for attempted murder and grafting. Days later, Clark visits the orphanage to find conditions have dramatically improved. Excuse me. Frankie reports that everybody is happier now with the new superintendent. And the reason I'm laughing is because I saw the next line. Ed, what did you think?
Ed, what did you think?
I thought that this was a long story to be in Superman. The book wasn't evenly divided this time like it has
No, it
been.
was not. It was the longest of the 4 stories.
Yeah, by like a third or almost half of some of the other stories in page number, which is fine. I don't, that doesn't bother me or anything. It's just something I noticed. Something I should have mentioned at the top. This story is adapted from the Daily Strip for the dates of June 12th, 1939 through July 22nd, 1939. So that story is what became this in.
I should have known that. We talked about this the last time they did that, because the one thing I noticed about this story compared to the rest of them, it looks a lot better than the rest of them. And
I also think that this really had a movie scripty feel to it. I mean, I could see a lot of these scenes as stills from a movie as I was reading through it. It really felt like that.
Well, it's funny. I took a bunch of notes when I was reading it, and one of my very last notes, since you brought that up, is that I wanted to. Oh nope, that's the wrong book. Goodness gracious,
wrong note.
Cards are out of order. They're not out of order, not at all. I wanted to shout out the Superman Radio Revisited podcast.
Okay,
I've been listening to that a bit lately, and because of listening to that show and listening to the old Superman radio serials, it was this story more than the other 4 I read today, but this story more than the other 4. As I'm reading it, I hear it in my head as if it was one of the radio serials. I could totally hear that in my head.
Yeah. And I think both of our other media thoughts probably have to do with how long it was, gave it more time to breathe and more time to fill in the quote unquote dead spaces normally in the story. So but you're absolutely right. It very much felt like a script for, I said movie, you said radio.
Yeah.
Hell, we'll go ahead and throw out TV show too and just get them all,
Stage play.
Yeah. Oh, the musical. No. Yeah, no, not a musical. No. What did I think? I enjoyed it. I liked it. Had a little bit different feel than some of his other stories recently have had. And reading this and actually reading all 4 of the stories for tonight, I'm getting to a point where I think I enjoy the Golden Age stories a little bit more than I did when I first started.
Me too.
I don't know if it's used to them. That's probably part of it, but it just I'm appreciating the style more as I have been doing this. Because other books typically that I will read will be very, very contemporary books. And so it gives me a break from a lot of the problems that I'm personally having with a lot of modern material. I can go to this stuff and it's just, I enjoy it.
And for those of you listening to the audio podcast, we've mentioned a couple of times so far that, if you're listening to this for the first time, we mentioned a couple of times all the stories we've read for tonight. I feel like I got to clarify this every once in a while, not every episode, but Ed and I get together. We try to get together once every few weeks, and we record multiple episodes at once. And so we read the two stories from Superman 3 for tonight, and then Action Comics 20 and 21.
Yeah, and I apologize if I were a good host, I wouldn't mention that because it's opening the curtain, and
curtain needs to be opened every once in a while.
It does get kind of
not my curtain.
Yeah.
Trusty Mutsy says it's so hard to get into modern books. I'm reading nothing but Marvel Epic collections of classic stuff, and I agree. We've talked about it before. I have both the Marvel Unlimited app and the DC Infinite Universe app, and I read mostly old books on the Marvel app. For some reason, I'm enjoying the new DC stuff, but I cannot get into the new Marvel stuff at all. I don't know why. I just cannot get into
it. The newer Marvel and DC stuff, I feel as you do about the new Marvel. To really get out of that funk, I have to go out of the big two.
Yeah.
And I can read a lot of contemporary stuff outside.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect me quite like just this feeling I get with, and I'm probably like you, but it just, unfortunately, I read far more contemporary Marvel than I do DC. So I really can't compare them a whole lot. But this past weekend, the whole weekend, the only things I read were quote unquote indie stuff, contemporary books, but we are talking about Superman. So
yes,
you're not going to win, Trusty Mutsy. We're talking about
that's
Superman.
right.
We're bringing it back.
To
bring it back on track. All right.
So I made some notes.
Okay.
I think because this story was longer than the rest of them. I have more notes for this one than anything else.
All right, let's go. What you got?
All right, so kind of going through the issue, the second page, I just found it funny that when faced with a small child passed out on railroad tracks and a train bearing down on it, that Clark takes a moment to change into his Superman outfit.
Okay.
Now nowadays that wouldn't be any problem because we know that it just takes him like a fraction of a second to do it.
A thought. That's
I've never gotten that impression with these Golden Age stories, and in fact, I've talked about it before. The various panels that they've shown in past stories where he's literally sitting on a chair in his apartment building, lacing up his boots, buckling his belt, and stuff like that. So. While he's saying not an instant to lose, he's changing into his Superman outfit. I thought that was funny for some reason.
I find it necessary to disparage the art. This first panel where we see the young boy in the train, it is far closer, the train, than the three panels that we see Superman running after there is no way. The kid is squished and the train has gone on by the time Superman gets there. So
and the kid, let's talk about the kid real quick. I mean, good Lord, very Golden Age child looking, with just the dots for the eyes, very Orphan Annie kind of look to this kid. I also wrote down when we meet Superintendent Lyman, Lyman equals lying man. I don't think they were trying to be clever there.
You don't know.
They might have thought they were getting away with something.
When Superman jumps after having grabbed up the boy, why does he turn and face the train and jump over the train rather than just jumping to the side?
I don't know.
Just, he wouldn't even have to just hop to the side to get off the track. That's all. But no, he's like, oh yeah, and he faces the train and hurdles the engine straight on. I'm like,
that was funny.
You gotta do it the hard way, man.
I think it's this. Maybe it's not this story. One of the stories coming up that we'll be talking about tonight, they really bear down on the whole Clark leaps about instead of flying, because there were so many panels in one of the stories of him just leaping, like that panel where he's jumping over the train, one arm out, both of his legs, spread open as he's leaping. And it's just, they just look so silly, seeing him do that with like a cityscape underneath him.
Allow me to take a moment and welcome birthday boy Chris Parton into the chat room.
House. That's right. It is his birthday. I did wish him happy birthday on
It is
Facebook.
his
Which
B-day, not
is it?
bidet, but B-day.
Bidet.
Never
I
mind,
want to.
birthday. Yeah, no, it's sorry about that, Chris.
Though a bidet would be a good thing.
That was pretty shitty of me.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Sorry. It's okay. Trusty is winning because I'm going off the tracks here. Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay.
You are off the rails tonight.
Wow. Okay. So
all right.
are we up to where we first met Lyman, or because
I'm kind of
okay. He's several pages past our
yeah.
train
I
here.
just made
returned the boy.
various
Okay.
notes as I was
Yeah,
reading.
that's fine.
So
okay. So here's Lying Man. Not to be confused with Running Man. That's a dance. So this is
Lying Man. It's just a guy who lies there on the road.
Right.
He's just laying there. He's the opposite of the Running Man.
Trusty, no, I am not. I have the strip. I have I think the first book of the strips, but I have not cracked it open to read along with this yet. I've read some of it, but no, I have just been, and I think it's because of my fear of Golden Age books. I don't want to burn out knowing that this is something that I'm wanting to do. So I'm not getting really steeped. I'm trying to make it a point to not read any other Golden Age stuff either, so that I don't get worn out on it. It could change. Like I said, I'm kind of really enjoying this Golden Age stuff more and more. So I might add a book or two here. I briefly this evening went down a Spectre rabbit hole for a reason in one of the books that came up. But
yeah, and we're both of us are actually reading from the Superman and the Golden Age collected volumes.
Right. Yeah.
And in fact, tonight we're finishing volume 1 and starting volume 2. So
right. Yep.
Volume 1 ends with Superman number 3, and then volume 2 begins with Action Comics 20.
All right, so we're up to where Clark and Lyman met here. What else you got? What else did you know?
My notes shoot ahead to when we go to the Daily Star and we get another Red Banner Lois Lane moment where Clark asks her out. How about having some lunch with me today, Lois? Sorry, not interested. Aw, come on. I'm not Poison Ivy. And then first of all, the look on her face as she's looking at him, and she just says, for once and all, will you please let it register in that thick dome of yours that I dislike you heartily? Understand? And it's really funny.
It's harsh. And this is a similar tune, but then a complete flip-flop in one of the later stories. So it actually, she gets a little harsher in that story, and then complete 180 on him.
Yep. My next note, I jump again. I did enjoy these scenes here with the other two reporters trying to follow Lois and Clark, and then them trying to lose them in the cab.
Right. Okay.
We're being followed. Shake off the taxi behind us, and there's a 5 spot in it for you. Leave it to me.
Yeah.
And of course, they don't.
No. They don't shake anybody.
Yeah, Lyman's not a good guy. Threatens to, harm the children if they don't pretend like they're playing and having a good time.
Right.
When the reporters arrive. But my notes skipped ahead to later on that evening after they leave the orphanage and Superman goes back. Okay. And we get one of those moments where he jumps onto a window ledge. There's no hanging from window ledges in this.
Right.
In
no
story.
Hanging. Which Trusty, and I don't know, maybe Chris, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we started keeping count of the number of times that Superman hung from a ledge. We're up to 10, with perhaps that number increasing later on this evening. Perhaps.
I think it will.
We'll have to discuss to be sure. But yes, we're up to 10 times in, I don't know, about, well, what are we on? 27? On 27 appearances, he has hung from a ledge 10 times.
He one of his modus operandi is to leap up on a window, hang from the window ledge, and spy on people inside. That's what Superman does. Now he's doing that here. He's spying on this Lyman, but he's actually standing on the ledge this time. And The note that I made was how lucky Clark is, Superman, as he's spying on Lyman. Lyman is basically confessing to all his crimes out loud to
Right.
nobody.
Yeah.
What those reporters wouldn't give to see this secret account book. It just, Superman might not have looked at that account book had he not said that out loud.
And between that panel and the next one, I think Lyman rearranges the furniture in his office there. It
Yes, he
looks
does.
for one, he is sideways to the
Yep.
window, and then in the next panel, the window is behind him,
Right
so that
behind him.
Clark,
Yeah.
or so that Superman can actually look over his shoulder.
Yeah.
But he's got
The,
X-ray vision. I mean, he doesn't. But that's how
yep.
it's drawn.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Superman the creeper. Yeah, that Superman gets more information right now that way than anybody, except
Yeah.
maybe Batman.
Yeah.
He's always listening in the closet or listening through the window or yeah.
Yeah, it's just so funny, when you see stuff like that, and you can't help but think of the Superman of today.
Right. Yeah.
He wouldn't do stuff like that now, and
Well,
and
he doesn't need to.
he doesn't
He can
need to nowadays.
hear.
Yeah,
He
he
can,
can. Yeah.
he can be over Europe and
Yep.
he can hear what Lyman is
Yep.
saying. We
Yeah.
understand now that that's how it works. So it's
Yeah. He flies up far enough to see the curvature of the Earth, and then just listens to see what's going on in the world.
Yep.
Yep. I was also confused about Frankie suddenly not understanding where he was, because he was fully awake when Lyman locked him in that attic. And then, but then suddenly he's just like, where am I? And then he starts freaking out, which I love him for. Oh, let me out or I'll wreck the place. And he starts smacking that chair against the wall.
And he starts wrecking the place. He's a kid of his word. So yeah.
He's not messing around. He says he's going to do something. He's going to do it.
Yep.
I loved. Oh well, here's a number of panels where he's leaping out the window with the book tucked under his arm.
Yeah, looks like he's running.
Yeah, it does. It looks like he's running in these great long strides in midair. That's why it's so funny looking. Lyman starts whipping young Frankie, which isn't cool.
With a whip.
With a literal whip.
Yeah. I got whipped when I was little, but not with a whip. So, not little. When I was younger, I should say.
Yeah, my mom had a yardstick that she threatened us with. I don't think she ever actually hit us with it. But so yeah, then Lyman, when he's discovered by Lois, he of course sets fire to the orphanage. And we have this wonderful panel after he's dumped a bunch of gas in the hallway, and he's throwing the match onto the gas, and it says, laughing with mad glee, the crazed superintendent sets fire to the orphanage.
Yep.
But I think my favorite Superman moment in this story was when Superman catches up to him in the car, picks the car up, and just rips the back wheels off of it.
Yep.
It's like, that's it. Done. You're done.
But then, I picture him just like plunking the guy, flipping him in the back of the head to knock him out. It just,
But it's when he knocks him out, the synopsis says that he taps him, but in the story it says that he applies a light pressure upon the rear
it looks
of
like
Lyman's
he
neck.
gives him a Spock pinch.
That's
Spock's pinch.
That's exactly what I wrote in my notes. That Superman knows
pinch.
The Vulcan nerve pinch.
Yeah, it's before the Vulcans even. Well, before the Vulcans showed us. Of course, the Vulcans are older, but So,
but my favorite moment in this entire story is when the cops show up and they grab Lyman, and he says, "Let me go. I didn't know what I was doing."
Good defense.
Yeah, he's already pleading insanity.
Ignorance of the law, I think, is what that would qualify as.
Yeah. I didn't realize that burning an orphanage full of children was the wrong thing to do.
Right.
Good stuff. That's all I had.
Okay. I don't think I really have anything else to add. I think you grabbed on most of the highlights. You're right about the art, though. It is. I don't necessarily know that I would use the word better. I think that's what you said. It was better, but it is different.
It's bright. I don't want to say brighter either. It's less I don't know.
Well, it is different. I mean,
Yeah.
and I would really have to sit and compare and, flip pages back and forth and do all that to really try to come up with the words as to why it's different. First of all, the feeling of the artwork is different.
Yeah.
It has a different feel to it, and that is probably because structurally there is something different. Now, what that
Yeah.
is, I'm not sure, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the stories in Action Comics where they're literally writing for a comic book format, they have those 2 rows or 2 columns of wide panels basically on every page. And because this is, I didn't realize until you said it that was adapted from the newspaper strip. We have more square panels and taller panels, and it's mixed up a bit more.
Different shapes, and yeah.
Yeah. And the shading, I will say, because if I jump over to the next story, I don't know if it's because maybe they kept better care of the newspaper strips as far as archiving them, and so they had a better product to use when they were reprinting these, here within the last 10 or 20 years. But if you go to like the next story, which we'll talk about in the next episode, a lot of the shading, a lot of the backgrounds and the it's very, to me, I would think that this, I don't know. It's of course, this was probably taken from a newspaper strip as well.
Actually, yes. Now that you say that,
Yeah.
I peek here at my notes, and yes, both of the Supermans were this issue. I thought they had gotten out of that, but I guess not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, because we know that at this point, this is the 3rd Superman of the year, and they weren't doing them monthly at this point.
Mm-mm.
And I think it's just more of a, hey, kind of like what trade paperbacks are for us now,
They were doing them what, like quarterly, I think at this point, roughly?
I think so, yeah.
Roughly every 3 months.
Seasonally. Because I think the last one was, well, the first one, of course, Superman #1 didn't have anything on it. Wasn't a #1.
Wasn't a #1, yeah. It was just...
I think the second one said fall 1939, and then this one was winter 1939. So
okay.
All right. I don't want to move on to the next episode until we talk real quick. I want to go ahead and include this in this episode. The 1-page little attaining super health, a few hints from Superman.
Okay.
Which doesn't look like it survived the reproduction process very well. But we got, in some of those Action Comics, the earlier ones, not that we're that far into Action Comics, but we're in the second year, near the end of the second year at this point. But, they had a lot of those, how you can be super strong and how you can leap far and stuff like that.
Right.
This kind of reminds me of that, but it's a whole page of, basically exercising and how you should do it every day and don't give up. And then to really show young boys why they need to exercise, the one panel where the 2 girls are looking at the 2 boys walking by, and one of them says, "I don't like Johnny. My, look how terrible he slouches when he walks." And the other girl says, "Larry strides so straight and manly. I think he's wonderful." So if you want to get the ladies, you got to exercise.
Don't slouch.
Stand up straight and be manly like Superman.
Who also makes an appearance in the very last panel.
Right.
So there is your example. If you're not quite sure what they're working towards, he's got kind of he's not straight on with the panel. He's slanted a little bit, but nice bust shot of Superman.
Squinty eyes. Mental health is inextricably linked with physical health. Always do the right and just thing. Always do the right and just thing. Help others. Keep your conscience clear. That's super living.
As pronounced by the Super Boy Scout with his twisted lock of hair in the middle.
Always teaching us the right way to live, Superman. All right. All right. Yeah, we don't have anything else. I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us a line, ask us a question, or just provide feedback in general, you can send an email to the supermanssupershow@gmail.com. You can also find us over on Twitter under the handle @SoupsSuperShow, or just come join in on all the fun over at the forum at forum.justanotherfanboy.com. All those links will be in the show notes. And so until next week, folks, I'm Steven. That's Ed. And this was the Superman Super Show. Bye.
Ciao, Bella.
All right, I'm going to stop my recording, save it. This is the boring part, folks. Those of you that watch the video, this is the boring part in between episodes where Ed and I save our files. We need some file saving music. Oh, where was I? Okay, this was episode 27.
27, yeah.
Superman Super Show 27.
Now that it is saving nice, I forgot where I put it. I didn't look to see. I assumed it would go where I wanted it to go, but I didn't check.
Here, I'll put in one of these StreamYard songs.
Backgrounds. Oh, it'll.
Here it comes.
Does it cut off our mics or?
I don't think so. It's just background music.
Okay, it did go where I wanted it to go.
Cool. Turn it down a little bit. I don't like that at all. Turning that crap off.
And
Mine's still saving.
Record. Okay, and I am going again. So we are goodly. All right, episode 28, Inbound.
Yeah, mine's still saving. Come on. There we go. All right, let me. There's that, and I'm recording. Ready?
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3.
You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 28, Superman and the Jewel Smugglers. Hello. Welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. We are not in rerun yet. I'm a host. My name is Ed, and 1,000 miles over there to my left is another host, Mr. Steeven Orr.
What up?
What up, says the man. So you haven't co-hosted in a little while. Is it still feeling good here? Are we?
I'm just super excited to be doing this tonight.
Okay.
It's been a long time. You know, I needed the break. I'm not going to go into it. I did talk about it in episode 299 of Just Another Fanboy, why I had to kind of back away for a whole 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, I'm having fun.
All right. As am I. Yeah, no.
Asimov.
Yes, Isaac.
Yeah.
Isaac. The Foundation series. It was a trilogy, but it just kind of stretched out because he wanted to make some more money. So he wrote some more books.
I've never read any Isaac Asimov, and I've never read any Piers Anthony.
The Foundation actually had a TV series on during the pandemic.
I watched it. It was good.
Was it?
Yeah, it was on Apple TV.
Okay.
Yeah,
did they get into the Mule? Did the Mule make an appearance as the Mule?
I don't think so. I don't think it officially ended.
So.
I don't think I think they just did the one season. I thought they were going to come back, but
I think they are. I haven't read when or seen it pop up on a schedule or anything, but I'm sure it'll be coming probably in the spring.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It took me a bit to get into. It's very heavy. It's thick. There's a lot to it. And
when I think sci-fi, I think okay, let me try this again. Deep sci-fi, I think of as hard sci-fi. The Foundation trilogy was hard sci-fi in my definition. It's very brainy, very messing with the possibility of how things could be given typically technology, and in this case it's a little bit more than technology. It'll turn out to be. So
Doug loves Asimov.
Cool beans. Doug has taste. Asimov is good. Piers Anthony, I've read some of his stuff, but I haven't read everything.
Yeah. And it's not that I just refuse to. It's just I just never really I had other stuff to read,
It's not come up.
I didn't grow up with that stuff.
No,
So at this
you know,
point, it's just, it's like,
you don't
too
have to
old.
apologize. There's always far more to do than what you have done.
Yeah,
Right?
there's
Whatever it is.
there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
So.
Alrighty, guys. Today we're going to be looking at Superman and the Jewel Smugglers, which appeared in Superman #3. Written for us. This is the 4th story in Superman #3 also. This is written for us by Jerry Siegel, penciled by Show Okay.
Schuster.
Actually, it was penciled by Joe Shuster, his brother, and it was inked by Paul Cassidy. Now, Superman #3 was published, as we are aware, by DC Comics with a cover date of winter 1939, an actual on sale date of November 15th, 1939, according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Now, hold on to your breeches. Here's what happened. And this synopsis is from DCFandom.com. Star reporter Clark Kent, who is secretly spoilers.
Right? They just spoil it for you right there.
Who is secretly Superman, they say, gets called into the editor's office for a promotion just as Lois Lane comes storming out. She has been relegated to the Lovelorn column simply because George Taylor felt the world of serious reporting was too dangerous for her. Clark tries offering to take her out tonight to cheer her up, but Lois coldly refuses. Later, a woman comes in looking to talk with the Lovelorn editor. After being directed to Lois, she sits across from her desk and begins pouring her heart out over how worried she was for her husband, Lou Frawley. She tells Lois that his behavior has changed since he began hanging out with the wrong crowd over at Joe's Joint, a place famous for its roughnecks and ne'er-do-wells. Worst of all, she's heard rumors that Lou had fallen in with a gang of smugglers. Lois consoles the woman, promising to look into her husband's activities and maybe bring him back to her. Now, under the pretense of a date, Lois tricks Clark into being the male half of her undercover gig at Joe's Joint after just massively blowing him off just minutes ago. Clark thinks it's reckless of her to take them to such a dangerous place, but Lois tells him not to be such a chicken. She tells him to walk with his back straight rather than walking with his all hunched over.
Right.
She spots Lou Frawley among a table of tough-looking characters. Intent on getting his attention, Lois offers Clark a dance while tossing flirtatious winks in Frawley's direction. He soon comes over, shoving Clark out of the way as he cuts in with Lois. Lois keeps massaging Lou's ego, talking about his stature and muscles, secretly dipping a hand into his jacket pocket and pulling out a paper with the target of the smuggler's theft written on it. Once the dance ends and Lou returns to his table, Lois calls Clark out for being a weakling and a coward, letting that man steal her away from him like that. She walks out, with a confused Clark following behind. Outside, Lou and his pals were waiting for them. They noticed, Lou's pals, that Lois took the paper and figured her for a detective, forcing her and Clark at gunpoint to join them as they take a boat across the bay. Clark tries to defend Lois when they start to get rough and gets knocked overboard for his troubles. After the boat heads off into the distance, Clark uses his super strength to propel him under the water towards the opposite wharf, beating the boat there by a few seconds. He changes into his Superman outfit while the thugs drag Lois into a shack. And not a love shack.
Not that love shack. I was thinking the same
Lou
thing.
and the smugglers begin pressing Lois for answers. She tells them she's just a reporter looking for a story. In that case, Lou obliges her curiosity by showing her the jewels they smuggled in from Europe. It was just too bad she wouldn't live long enough to print anything about it. Just as Lou fires the shot, Superman smashes through the wall, racing the bullet with super speed and shielding Lois with his own body, allowing the bullet to bounce harmlessly off his skin. The smugglers are dealt with quickly, Superman delivering them to the police station with Lois to press charges. After her harrowing adventure, Lois rushes back into George Taylor's office with her story. But she was too late. The story had already been printed by Clark Kent, who phoned it in after he managed to reach shore. Stephen, what did you think about that one?
I mean, it's no wonder that Lois doesn't like him, because the story opens up with Lois being demoted, basically because, it's not safe out there for her because she's just a dame and she needs to go back on the lovelorn column. And then he promotes Clark, and then Clark scoops the story out from under her at the end. It's just no wonder she didn't like him. But as far as did I like this, not so much. This wasn't one of my favorites. And in fact, I only took one note for the entire story.
Hang on, let me throw this out there. March 20th, 1939 through April 1st, 1939. This is a rehash of the newspaper story. Now, if you'll notice, that is roughly what? A week and a half, maybe? Yeah. The previous story was about 5.5 to 6 weeks worth of newspaper. Yeah. So
it's an epic tome.
There you go. Okay, what was your note?
The only note that I put was there when he's promoting Clark, he does it because he liked the way he covered Trent's comeback. And that is a callback to Superman issue number 2 and the comeback of Larry Trent, which we talked about on episode 21.
We're starting to get some continuity here.
Yeah, that's right. I thought I was like, I recognize that name. Trent's comeback, the comeback of Larry Trent. We were all rooting for old Larry, and we were glad to see him come back.
Indeed. Good old Larry.
But I mean, otherwise, this is the story where she basically, rebuffs him very coldly, and the editor George Taylor even says something to her about it. And I think she refers to Clark as a worm at that point. But then, she gets, I think, she gets worried when they throw him overboard because she thinks he's going to die because he can't swim.
I don't know how worried she got. She just, if he can't do anything for her, she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. Yeah. That's what it, no aspersions on Lois, but that seems to be her habit so far. Clark is only useful when he's useful.
Yeah. And I don't remember the other comic. I used to, I haven't watched it in a while, but I used to watch the Comic Tropes YouTube channel a lot. And he does, every once in a while, he'll find like very silly superhero comics from the Golden Age and talk about them. And I didn't recognize the character name, one of those that didn't survive the Golden Age.
Right.
But that character had the female love interest as well. And it was the same thing. He was always trying to, as his civilian identity, he was trying to get her to go out with him. She was always very rude in rebuffing him because he wasn't manly like the superhero was. And it just makes me wonder if, I just feel like obviously guys back then, I mean, we still don't quite understand women, right? Especially didn't back then.
It's 80 years ago, and relations have improved, I think, a little bit. But as far as understanding, I would never claim that.
Right.
I can't in good conscience,
right?
Because,
but I don't think either. I don't think either of us, as modern men, would assume that what women really want out of a man is just a manly.
Man. I don't know. You have to ask that woman, whichever one is in question.
That's right.
You have to ask her, and
and granted, Clark really has to play up that whole coward angle, know.
And so, he does to
he does
pretty good extent. I mean,
and the guy, the Jewel Smuggler guy who's dancing with Lois, we get the moment where he pushes Clark's face in, basically pushes him away by his face, which is something that happened to Clark in Action Comics #1 with that gangster who he tries to mess with us. I'll push his face in. And that's exactly what he does. And how lucky was it for Lois to I'm just going to dip my hand in this guy's pocket. And
this whole situation was very fortunate for her.
Yeah.
any other reporter that she chose to take, and she would have been aerated, and
Yep.
that would
Oh
have been the
yeah,
last
she'd
of
be
Lois
dead.
Lane.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
something that I did notice, which is just kind of funny to me, um, our panels are no longer numbered, which is unfortunate. But on page 389, in that Lou is holding her at gunpoint scene,
Mhm.
the very final panel, and Lou, by the way, guys, is Lew, is
Yeah.
how it's spelled, Lou. Um,
Lou.
Notice Superman's crest has shifted from the middle of his chest to more like a front-facing shoulder patch there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I don't know.
almost wrote that down. That almost became a note, but then as
Eh,
I kind of stared at it for a bit, it's like, well, maybe they're trying to show him as a bit
I
twisted as far as his torso
Yeah,
twisted or
could be.
something. But
You're right, it is possible. I don't think so. I
yeah.
think it was just a misdrawn, but okay, either way.
Well, if you look at the previous page, and yeah, these panels, I've noticed that should be another clue to me that this is a newspaper strip. When they put in the newspaper strips, those panels aren't numbered. But
Mm-mm.
if when we get to the Back to Action comics, those panels are mostly all numbered. But there is a number on each page in the corner. But if you go back to the previous page, there's a moment that when Clark at the bottom of the bottom panel, first bottom panel, when he's climbing out of the water onto the
Right.
dock, look up at the moon. And I don't know if that's supposed to be a wisp of cloud next to the moon, but
Looks like a rocket ship to me.
right. My first thought was, holy crap, there's a UFO. There's
Yeah,
a
they're
spaceship
reusing a
up there.
panel from
Yeah, maybe.
another comic, and they just changed the words in the
Yep.
bubble or something. Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know, but yeah, that doesn't. Now the next panel across the moon, yeah, it looks more wispy.
Yeah.
But this one, the previous, it has too much form.
Yep.
It's
Yeah. It's very rocket shippy.
it's like maybe the pencil was wispy, but the inker was like, "Oh, they want a rocket ship there,"
Yeah.
and it's
Couldn't
like,
quite interpret
no, dog.
what the penciler was going for, and just said, "Oh, obviously this is a rocket ship, so that's what I'm gonna ink."
But for whatever reason, he caught on for the next panel, and
Yeah.
it's nice and wispy. It's
Yeah.
like,
He's like, I don't feel like going back and changing the other one. Too
who
late.
knows?
It's inked.
That's it.
They haven't, the guy from the Monkees, his mom hadn't invented whiteout yet. So
Permanent ink.
yeah.
It's like what they use on your record.
Yep.
So yeah.
And we get another, scene in here where somebody is shooting at Lois and Clark races the bullet and gets in front of it to deflect it, which
I'm
was
much
really
more
cool the
impressed
first time.
with the finger catch, though. That is more impressive.
Yeah.
Isn't that what he did the first time? Caught it in his fingers.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. This one, he just sacrifices his body.
Yeah.
How heroic. Yeah. It's not going to do anything. So
yeah. But yeah, other than that, yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't.
Alrighty.
It's very standard.
Yeah.
Superman
pretty much.
stuff. Yeah.
Especially, unfortunately, in a way, when compared to the previous story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And both of these are in the same book, so you would think that the quote unquote better story, longer story, etc., would be last. That's what you'd want to anchor with. You wouldn't want to lead off with that one, because then doing better than that is going to be very hard. So interest is going to, as you read the book. But that's what struck me about that.
Yep.
All right, I'm good. You good?
I'm good.
I'm good. I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode and
Well,
all of the
let's say
previous
goodbye to Harold. Harold's leaving.
Oh, sorry, Harold. Goodbye.
Bye, Harold. Sorry.
You should listen more often. You asked why you hadn't been listening to the show.
Yeah.
Only you, as the fire bear says.
Yeah, only you can prevent forest fires and listen to the show.
Right. Yeah. So it's there for you. If you're still there, come on over to if you're not already on the forums. I don't believe he's on the forums, is he? So, okay. Thank everybody for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us a link, ask us a question, or just provide feedback in general, you can send an email to the supermansupershow@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter under the handle @SupsSuperShow, all one word, or come join the fun over at the forum at forum.justanotherfanboy.com. All the links will be in the show notes there and on the website. So until next week, folks, I'm Ed. That is Steven. And this was the Superman Super Show. Ciao.
Bye. Okay, that's 2 down, man. I think we can get 2 more done tonight. So yeah, while it's saving, Walmart had me waiting today. Seems like whenever
that's why it happened.
Yeah.
You know that's the way the universe works. You're old enough to have put that together by now, and it's like, yep.
It's Murphy's Law.
I always try to be conscious of what could happen when I plan things, and so I don't, something that has any possibility, I don't plan anything after it. I try to leave that free for, because I know as soon as I stack up a plan, that one in the middle will go sour and everything else will be like, and it'll just make me angry and just shoot the rest of it. And I'm like, I don't need that. I don't want to do that.
I use the quote all the time. I don't know if it was, I've always heard it, that it was John Lennon, but life is what happens when you're making other plans.
There you go. Yep.
That happens to me a lot. And my wife, who has been sick or had been for a couple of days, she comes out in the living room last night and she goes, "Hey, look at this." And she starts, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm feeling good." I said, "Well, now that you said it, life's going to be like, oh, you do you?"
Yeah. You spoke too soon.
That's right. Don't test fate.
All right, episode 29. And
all right, I am recording.
As am I.
Okay, let me get down to my notes. All right. 1, 2, 3. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 29, Superman and the Screen Siren. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Howdy, I'm being a host.
Yay! Hosting and making toasting. Hosting with the toast. And a rump roast.
Well, okay, now that's getting a little bit better.
Boast about my roast.
Just don't rhyme about any kind of cheese or anything like that, and we're good. Guam cheese.
I don't, one of my favorite Monty Python sketches is about a cheese shop where they literally spend most of the sketch listing names of cheeses. And I don't remember most of them.
Well, we'll say there that cheese is not funny.
Cheese. It's John Cleese and Graham Chapman used to write together. They were a writing team, and then Michael Palin and Terry Jones were a writing team, and then Eric Idle wrote by himself. But John Cleese would always say that whenever he and Graham Chapman were writing, if they'd get stuck, they'd like pull out a thesaurus and just start listing different names for stuff. And I don't know if they wrote that one or if that was like Michael Palin and Terry Jones going, let's do one of their sketches. Let's do that. But
do it their way.
It's literally a guy coming into a cheese shop wanting to buy some cheese, and every cheese he asks for, they're out of. Every single one.
I think I've seen that. I think I've seen that skit.
It's a pretty decent one. All right. So today we're looking at Superman and the Screen Siren, which appeared in Action Comics number 20. This was written by Jerry Siegel, penciled by Joe Shuster, and inks by Paul Cassidy. Your 3 regulars. Every once in a while, we'll see maybe a different penciler. I've noticed, sometimes Wayne Boring will show up, but it seems to be these 3 guys most of the time. Action Comics number 20. Of course, published by DC Comics. It has a cover date of January of 1940, but according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, an on sale date of December 1st, 1939. My older brother's birthday, December 1st. Not 1939, though. He's younger.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I actually took the synopsis this time from Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Sometimes he does have the synopses over there. And normally we get it from dcfandom.com, but that was literally 2 sentences. And I like, I don't like the big 3-page freaking synopses,
but 2 sentences.
2 sentences is just not enough. So
right.
This is what I took from over there. Clark takes a business vacation to Hollywood and saves the life of actress Dolores Winters from an assassin. Winters agrees to give Clark an interview later, but when Clark arrives, she dismisses him coldly. The next day, Dolores announces her retirement, excuse me. The next day, Dolores announces her retirement and invites several wealthy people aboard a yacht. She then kidnaps them at gunpoint and vanishes with them. The next day, she radios in a ransom demand for $5 million. Superman learns where the money is to be delivered and tracks it to a submarine, which picks up the money. He follows the sub to a hidden destination where Winters and her men plan to kill the hostages. Superman infiltrates the hideout and comes face to face with Winters. The eyes remind Superman of his deceased foe, Ultra. She reveals that she is, in fact, the evil mastermind. Ultra's men revived his body long enough to place his brain into the body of Dolores Winters. Superman is able to save the hostages, but Ultra escapes without a trace. Ed, what did you think about this one?
I was excited about the return of Ultra. I like Ultra.
I do too. I'm kind of torn though, because I was really enjoying the idea of this actress who has just decided at one point in her life, I've become successful enough. Now I'm going to start doing evil and kidnapping my coworkers and really like that. I kind of like the idea of a super villainous named the Screen Siren who would show up now and again. But I like, if it's not going to be her, then yeah, having it be the Ultra-Humanite.
This was an okay idea.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
If it can't be what you said, this is okay.
Right. Yeah, I'll take that as a substitute.
Yep. So opening the comic with Clark rescuing the L was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know that we were aware that there was an L in Metropolis up to this point. I don't think we'd ever seen one. But for whatever reason, Siegel decided this is how he was going to open this particular strip. So it's
and most of these in Action Comics up to this point, we've been referring to that opening big panel as like the splash panel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been used to kind of just highlight Superman and basically give the whole faster to the bullet thing that they haven't quite nailed down yet.
Able to leap tall buildings and all that.
This one just opens right up into some action. I thought that was kind of interesting.
With an ominous creaking and snapping, the metal supports of an elevated railway commenced to give way. That's an excellent opening line. I heard that. It was in my head. That was just, what is that? 15 words, and they were pretty well placed.
That would be even in a prose novel. That would be a great opening to a book.
Now we've talked before, these boys were from Cleveland or are in Cleveland, right? But there is a connection with Toronto as well.
Yes,
one or both were from there, or
I think the artist Joe Shuster spent time in Toronto. So yeah, the Metropolis skyline is supposed to be based on Toronto.
Okay. The reason I ask is at this point, 1939/40, I know Chicago had L's.
Yeah.
Would Cleveland have had an L? Does Cleveland even have an L now? Or Toronto for that matter?
No idea.
It's like Los Angeles. I don't think Los Angeles has the L. They went under, right? They have subways.
Yeah.
Well, but Chicago has subways too, but they have the L in Chicago is famous. I mean, it's
and it does both. It goes underground and above grades. Yeah, I
So
wrote it once.
you've been to Chicago?
Yeah, I went to
Oh, cool.
the Chicago convention twice in the
Oh,
90s.
okay. C2E2.
No, it was before that.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
didn't even
just, I
have
think
that
it was
name yet.
it might have even been what would become a Wizard World.
Oh, okay, okay. But yeah, the very first thing that uh, came to my mind is, huh, wonder where these guys ran into an L that they would want to
Yeah.
draw one at this point, 1939, 1940. I
Yeah.
mean, Cleveland is not that far from Chicago. From, maybe they had dealings in New York and had, I don't know, just came to
Yeah.
mind. This is the first time after over 25 appearances of Superman that now we know that
Yeah.
Metropolis has an L. So,
The only thing I know about Cleveland is that apparently it rocks.
oh, okay. Because yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Drew Carey show. Yeah,
Yeah. And well, because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is
that's right.
there as well. So,
Yeah, I don't know who that band was that did that song that they end up using in the theme song for the Drew Carey show, but
so
Ohio.
after after saving the L, we follow Miss Winters onto set where Clark helps her, and then so here um, on these two pages, let's see. Yes, panel 12. Then I'll expect you to call on me tomorrow night. That is her,
Mhm.
unmodified.
Yes.
And on panel 15, this is her post modification.
Yes.
So we can even track it down and say, this was before and after.
Yeah, and I wonder because they never, I mean, the assassin, there's never any reason given why this guy is just here to kill her. We don't know if he's a crazed fan or if this is the first attempt to get her body for the Ultra-Humanite.
Right. Yeah. Which, of course, that's the way I would lean because that
Yeah.
just is a cooler thought. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's absolutely no indication as to why. And actually, it just pops up suddenly. It's one of those, hey, let's have somebody try to kill her, and they just
Yeah.
boop, drop it right
Yeah.
in the story.
And Dolores is another one of these women. Joe Shuster is famous for not being very good at drawing characters. He draws a lot of similar looking characters, and
Hmm.
she looks exactly like Lois Lane.
Yes.
And in fact, multiple times throughout this story, when I would read the name Dolores, my mind flipped it and read
Went to
Lois
Lois.
instead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could
Yeah.
I could see that. So moving through what happens here, they go to the boat. First of all, she poo-poos when Clark calls on her, like she asked just the day
Yeah.
before, probably not even 12 hours ago,
Yeah.
you know. And he's like, huh, that's kind of weird. Well, those women, although he doesn't just say women, it is movie queens, but
Yeah.
you get the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
It's women, they're so flighty. She this way and then went that way, and
It's almost like women in general are pretty
uh,
crazy, but you add
yeah,
actress to the mix and oh, watch
it
out.
just heightens up the
Yeah.
craze. Yeah, and then ultimately, let's see, somebody is talking to him, or is it in the next story? No, it's in the next story. I'm sorry. Never mind.
You know what? I'm almost reading your mind. When we
Yeah,
get to that next story, I think I know exactly what you're
yeah, I
talking
was,
about.
but yeah, that's so. So there's a spoiler. Miss Winters appears in the next issue of Action as well. But so now we're on the ship. Everybody is there. She diverts the ship out, rather than just being this uh, tale of a fateful trip. Or yeah, never mind. I missed a cue there. Um, it's, I imagine that instead of like, following the coastline or going across a big harbor or something like that, she has the ship and she turns it out to deep ocean.
Yeah, and I almost felt that they weren't even supposed to be moving, because the
Okay.
moment that it starts to move, the guy's like looking out the window. Hey, we're moving. What's
Hey, we're
going on?
moving.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I guess it was an anchor party. You
yeah.
just go out to the boat anchored in the bay and you have a
That's
party.
the best time to be on a boat, man. Let's go sit on a boat and drink, and then you know you don't have to go anywhere.
Uh, so she goes down to the radio man and she has the radio man give her demands out over the airwaves. And this demand is for $5 million for who knows, however many people are on the boat. She figures he slash we only know her as she right now, so she figures that family and friends and business associates and whomever will
Yep.
pay this money, even though she has just retired, but that was a different woman. We find out that said those things than from what, yeah. So
Yeah,
uh,
these are famous people who have money,
right,
so she's
who
gonna
better to
get.
kidnap?
Yeah, they're gonna get some of it.
Yep. Um, Clark now is he's heard about the ransom demands and he goes back to the he goes back to the studio to see well, no, he goes back to the studio because he has found out that the studio head is going to be given instructions for the delivery of the money. So
Yeah,
he's going to the studio to get that information from the studio head. Runs into the guards here and has a little uh, tete-a-tete, if that's the phrase, I don't know,
yeah.
with
I
the
made a
guards.
note here on that
Oh,
point.
you have notes? You didn't say you had notes. Well,
Oh yeah,
what
yeah, I got
notes?
notes.
What? Okay, what notes do you have?
I'll come in when you get to points where I have notes.
Okay, okay,
Um, Superman playing hide and seek is a big reminder regarding how far Superman is then from
okay.
what he is now. Far cry,
Yeah,
Superman. I just couldn't imagine Superman playing hide and seek from security guards
no,
at this point.
no, he would just
Um,
walk up. He avoids the dude at the gate by walking over here and jumping over the fence.
yeah,
No, he would
yeah,
just
yeah.
help the man aside, and he would just walk through the gates and just
Well, and I think nowadays he would just, "Hey, I'm Superman. Can I
or
come in?" They'd go, "Here you go, Superman. Let me
yeah,
open this door
or
for
he
you."
would just fly into the
Yeah.
compound. He
Yeah,
wouldn't
he
even
just
mess
flying.
with the gate. He'd just
Yep.
be like,
Yep.
"Book, I'm in."
I also noted at the beginning of this story, or at least when he gets his assignment, I found it really kind of basically his editor is just like Clark's like, "You promised me a vacation." And the editor's just like, "It'll have to be a work vacation. Take the train to Hollywood and send me back some movie news." That's it. He doesn't really have any, there's not a specific reason. There's not a specific story he's going after. It's just like,
Right.
let's go to Hollywood and dig up some news for me. That's what I'm paying you for.
Panel 6. It seems as though Clark has asked for entrance before, but this is the only
Right?
time we see the entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
"Will you
That's
permit me
weird. That
to
was
enter
weird.
now?"
Yep.
I'm like, "What do you mean now? This is the only time you've tried to
Yeah.
do this."
Yep.
Not not sure what that was about. Okay. Any other notes up until the studio head with the info?
Um, I have it. Yeah. When I have a note after he meets the studio head.
Okay. So the studio head is kind of sweating things out because he knows he's supposed to get this information and he hasn't yet. Superman arrives to once again spy on him. I don't think we necessarily see how Superman is looking in a window, although I do have that this is a hanging from the
Yes.
ledge
He
scene
does
here.
hang
Yeah,
from a ledge.
this
Yep.
is goes in the window, and I guess he's in like the room next door.
Yeah.
Um, Says that he uses his X-ray vision. Now, have we seen it called that before?
Um, we've seen him use it at least twice before, but I don't know if they've called it
X-ray or
S-ray
just
vision. I can't quite remember now.
okay. Um, any idea how this paper magically appeared?
No, they don't mention that at
Okay,
all. I mean, that probably is their way of saying this should be your first clue that the Ultra-Humanite is involved, because he did something scientifically magical.
I guess I didn't read it like that at all. I just thought,
Yeah, I found it
plot
weird.
hole.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we have to move it forward. So here, and it's
Yeah.
just, but the paper with the information that the studio head is waiting for just materializes on his desk,
Yeah.
and that's what he says. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
just drawn that we see that, but he
Yeah.
says
It
materialized right
materialized.
out
Yep.
of the empty air.
Yep.
So I don't know how. I guess
Now,
maybe the Ultra-Humanite, maybe that is the reason,
yeah.
because that we know now that's who it's coming from.
Right.
So I guess.
Now I did have the first panel of this page. They have Superman climbing up the side of a building, and they actually put Superman, a veritable human fly, swiftly scales the side of the studio building. And I did write that down because I think this is the first time they've talked about Superman, his expertise in climbing walls like a human fly.
Okay.
I actually wrote down new power ? But no, I think he's just.
And we do know in about 30 years over at Marvel, the human fly does show up for 12 to 15 issues over there. So, okay. Place 5 million within buoy near the Centel Lighthouse at 12 o'clock midnight. Those are the ransom delivery instructions. Signed Dolores, excuse me. So, it's legit because
That's right.
It's signed by she.
Yep.
Superman escapes. We have some air running here. He goes to the lighthouse. Now, this is, I don't know that we have seen this at least once, that Superman can hold his breath for however long he needs to hold his breath.
Yeah. The story where he goes for the pirate treasure and throws a submarine around underwater.
Right, for the same reason. It has to do with the submarine. And
now, but I did write that down because I wrote that Superman can hold his breath for at least 2 hours, because I don't think we really got much of a time frame in that one story, but we get at one point here while he's underwater, he mentions that it's been at least 2 hours.
So. Right. Yeah. The traveling of the sub once he grabs a hold of it. And it says, I think 45 minutes that he was there before that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
15,
almost 3
30,
hours
45. Before. Yeah. At the very least.
Yep.
Also, something has got to be up with his eyeballs to be able to see underwater at midnight.
Yeah.
That's not there's not the most light coming down through the water at that time of day. So
yeah, that's his supervision,
The hatch opens on the submarine and it sucks the buoy in.
Yeah.
Just the buoy. No water, no loss of air, no anything. It just opens to admit the buoy.
Yep. It's the magnetic ray.
Via magnetic ray. Yes.
Yep.
So I guess that's some more of the Ultra-Humanites whammy power, like the invisible paper or teleporting paper, whatever that was. So we get to the underground layer where the sub goes to.
This is the point where I really, now we don't know at this point that she is the Ultra-Humanite.
Right.
But in retrospect, once I learned that, thinking about this underground layer under the water, this is the moment that I really, really started to really dig the Ultra-Humanite. It's like, all right, this is a proper villain. He's got a layer under the water, under a secret cave, and we get an even better layer in another story. And
how long has he? I mean, has he just been like doing these things and just stocking them up for when he wants to use them, or it just
I guess that's what evil bad guys do.
No continuity as far as that is concerned. It's just what does he need? We need a layer. Okay, done. Okay,
it's like it's Dr. Evil,
I guess, taking what money he can find and just investing it in layers all over.
That's right. You got to reinvest in yourself.
Right.
That's how.
Right.
You got to spend money to make money.
Right. Takes money to make money. That's it exactly. So now like you said, things are starting to look a little fishy as to, well, who is this Winters woman? And it just keeps piling on, because now we have she's affixed helmets to her hostages that she's going to use to kill them by delivering an electric jolt into their head, because she was going to kill them after she got the money anyways. So,
and that's why I was just slightly disappointed when it was revealed that it was, because up to that point it's like, wow, this is just, she's just a movie actress, and she's got an underground layer and a
she's been spending her money
submarine,
for this layer.
yeah.
Yeah, it's all possible. I see that. Okay.
It's like, I love this girl, and then, oh no, she's the Ultra-Humanite.
All of a sudden she goes all science-y here with
Yeah.
the Superman rescues the peeps here, the hostages, attacks to hold them off with a torch from the wall. She grabbed down a brazier off the wall, and is fending everybody off with the flame. Gonna burn you if kind of like Eddie Murphy's Dookie stick.
She
Dookie
burned
on you.
right. But her threat is that she will burn their faces to a crisp. Again, I'm at that point where I'm like, oh my gosh, this villain, she is wonderful.
She's so violent.
Yeah, love her.
And then the next two panels.
Yeah.
One is just a headshot of her. And then the next panel is Superman has a sudden burst of intuition. This is super intuition, by the way.
Yes.
He says, those evil blazing eyes. There's only one person on this earth who could possess them. Ultra. And she immediately acquiesces and says, you're right. Oh, you got me.
I can almost hear like an old man evil. You're indeed perceptive, Superman. You thought you had killed me in our last encounter.
Right.
I just love it.
The old man voice in this prime of her physicalness, female actress. That would be funny.
Her assistants found the body and revived me via adrenaline. Love it.
But she was dead because he saw him die. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think adrenaline would do it. She, of course, gives away her evil plan now. Or actually, it's not the evil plan. It's what she did to get to where she is now. So it's the same, but it's already been enacted.
And the only reason he gives for choosing Dolores Winters is because her body is young and vital. It's like, well, okay, so are probably another million people in the country. What I just found it really weird. I mean, I don't know. Was she just nearby? Why
someone so famous that is going to be in the spotlight to make it obvious that she's not acting normal? Super breath. Is this the first time we have seen the super breath?
It is. It very much is.
Okay. So yes, Superman whips out the super breath to put out the flames here. Winters / Ultra jumps into the underwater bay there in their cavern, and is so adept at swimming that by the time Superman enters the water behind her, immediately at super speed, she's gone.
Yep.
He doesn't see her. The hostages have overtaken all the guards, and they have them at switched places there. And you can now enter the submarine and return to land. Who?
Yeah.
Who piloted it? The bad guys piloted that.
Don't worry, it's a submarine. You can figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's
like driving a car.
Superman swims away, goes back, files his report, and end of the story.
Yeah, I love that, of course, a director has to offer Superman a fortune to be in a movie.
It's Superman.
Yeah.
He can do his own stunts.
Yep. And then George Taylor, his editor, tells him, you go on a vacation and secure a great scoop. That's what I call being a fine newspaper man. It's like, well, that's what you told him to do. Why are you act surprised?
And see, that's why he gets the nod over Lois right now, because the man delivers.
That's right.
Because he's Superman.
Yeah. And then we get two little in-house ads for the Sandman, appearing each and every month in Adventure Comics, and the Batman and Detective Comics. Yeah, right. I enjoyed this one. I like this one. as slight as my disappointment was that Dolores Winters wasn't just an evil genius, famous actress. Knowing, once it sunk in that she's still an evil genius, that this guy had his brain transplanted. That's even better.
Well, but you didn't find that out until like just the last couple pages of the
right.
story. I mean, the rest was along the lines of what you were digging. So
yeah, that's why as soon as you find out it's Ultra, I'm like, oh, come on, let's get. But then once by the time you finish the story, I'm just let it sink in that. All right, well, still we've got you basically your Lex Luthor of the Golden Age Superman, and he's just a super evil genius, and he's so obsessed with coming into power that he will live in the body of a famous female actress, and he's got underground submarine layers, and it just.
Well, we find out here next issue he's got more layers.
Oh
so
yeah,
this one's even cooler.
The next layer is so much better.
Alrighty, guys. Definitely want to thank everybody for listening into this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you do want to drop us a line, ask us a question, or just provide feedback in general, you can send an email to the supermansupershow@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter under the handle @SoupsSuperShow, or come join the fun over on the forum at forum.justanotherfanboy.com. All these links will be in the show notes. So until next week, I'm Ed, and actually this was all Steven's part here, I see.
I wasn't going to say anything.
And that's Steven, and this was the Superman Super Show. Bye.
Bye-bye.
No, I was thinking I read the synopsis, but you did because it came from Mike's Amazing World. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Grabbing your mic, man. Sorry about that.
It's okay, man. We're a team. All right. So this is 29. All right. One more. Done for tonight. Who's still with us? Doug, you still there? Chris, you still there?
Doug or Chris? I hear Terry. She's probably sounds like she's closing up shop and getting ready to hit the sack.
There's at least 2 people watching.
All right.
All right. Saved and recording.
Back. Okay. I am as whale.
This episode will go out on the 28th of November, and then the very next day, episode 300 of Just Another Fanboy.
Cool. What are you talking about?
G.I. Joe 300.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah, I figured. I started my very first comic that I owned for myself was a G.I. Joe comic, so
okay,
seemed fitting.
You do a 300 on 300.
That's right. Yeah, I did a Action Comics 100 for my 100th episode, and I think I did Amazing Spider-Man 200 for episode 200. So.
Okay, cool. There you go. You got a theme. Yeah. You're trying to make it all difficult and everything.
I know that's right. Exactly. Theme. I know. I'm my own worst enemy. Doug's still here, getting his son to sleep. How old's your son, Doug? I'm assuming not like 20 years old.
I don't think so. Although if that's the case, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Special needs. It happens.
I said several episodes back that I've been reading Golden Age Batman along with a podcast. They've been covering that. So I said that I was trying not to read any other Golden Age stuff, but then it occurred to me, well, I am reading that too. And they double up. They talk about a story from an issue of Batman, and then they talk about the strip from an issue of Detective, and they do both every every episode.
Okay. Yeah.
Still keep it about 45, 50 minutes, though, talking about the two. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. All right. We ready?
I'm ready.
To do this?
Yes, sir.
So this will, oh, hold on. Let me turn that comment off. All right. This will be one of yours. 1, 2, 3.
You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 30, The Atomic Disintegrator. Hello. Welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Ed, and 1,000 miles over there to my left is another host, Mr. Steeven Orr.
What is happening?
Not much. So we're finding out that perhaps you and Doug have a little bit more in common than we've already.
I was going to say, I feel I need to address that. My son, who is 20, also autistic, he's a high functioning. He's no longer living in the house. He has roommates. So yeah, we got something in common, Doug.
Cool beans. Not cool. Well, you know what I mean.
And I will say real quick, I've mentioned it before on other shows. I've never officially had myself tested or diagnosed, but based on what I grew up seeing in my son, my wife agrees with me. I'm definitely probably on the spectrum.
Well, you are even higher functioning then.
Yeah.
Than your son. So
there's there's certain things that you kind of learn.
Sure. Alrighty. Today we're looking at the Atomic Disintegrator, which appeared in Action Comics number 21. This was written for us by Jerry Siegel, penciled by Joe Shuster, inked by Paul Cassidy. Now, Action Comics 21 has a cover date of February and an approximate on sale date of December 27th, 1939. So we're starting to get a little bit wider spread here with this one.
Yeah,
those
but that's
dates.
Two issues of Action Comics in 1 month.
Yeah, you're right. That information comes to us from Mike's Amazing World of Comics.
Love Mike.
So here's what happened. This synopsis is from the DCFandom.com. Definitely throw that out because we have started finding good synopses on other sites. So we can't assume, we have to accredit appropriately.
Yep.
Now living in the body of movie star Dolores Winters, see last episode, the Ultra-Humanite uses his feminine wiles to lure, then abduct atomic scientist Terry Curtis. Terry being male, Terry, Terry, Terry Curtis.
Yep.
A lot of gender going on here in just this sentence.
Yes.
Humanite forces Terry to build him an atomic disintegrator, mounts it on an airplane, and uses it to blackmail the city of Metropolis. Superman gets involved. Well, of course he does.
Right. Superman just decides to do nothing. Story's over.
Ignores this one. End of story. Action 22. Superman gets involved in all this partly by accident when Clark Kent gets blown up in an early test of the weapon, but inexplicably survives and meets Terry Curtis in the process. Superman defeats the air attack and finds Ultra's secret base hidden inside a live volcano, but the well-prepared Ultra-Humanite has rigged the city of Metropolis with an atomic explosive device. Ultra blackmails Superman into committing some high-profile super crimes and to defeat the police and National Guard several times in the process, but ultimately Superman is able to destroy Ultra's machinery, rescue Curtis, and blow up the Ultra-Humanite's volcanic lair. Steven, what did you think about that one?
I freaking dug this one. This one was great. I mean, from the moment I read the title, because I put all these show notes together before I read everything. Now, full disclosure, I haven't actually finished this story yet. I was I'm about 5 pages away when we started recording tonight, so I haven't officially finished it. But from the title of the story alone, Atomic Disintegrator, right away I'm like, all right, we're into some fun stuff.
Yep.
You mentioned the pronoun usage, the gender pronoun usage there at in the synopsis. They kind of did that in Action 20, obviously, when we thought it was Dolores and then found out it was Ultra-Humanite. I think Superman at one point, once he learns, he still refers to her as him. But at least at the point where I got, he was referring to Ultra as her in this issue. So I like that. It's like, all right, they've just accepted that Ultra is now a woman.
Right.
I don't think that they would mess around with that back then. I think they'd just be like, we're not going to even just mess around.
Right. No, it's straight.
It's a woman.
It's a man. It's a woman.
That's the way it's going to be.
They're going down the line.
And I did make some notes. The last note I have is for panel 64. So that's about as far as I got.
Okay.
But some of the notes I put was maybe Clark shouldn't have written the article, because this is another one of those issues that just starts right out with action. You know, the splash panel at the opening is the building exploding and a wall falling on Clark.
Yeah.
And you know, he pulls himself free. There just happens to be a guy there in a white lab coat who's like, follow me and I'll give you first aid. And then of course we learn that this guy apparently in his apartment is developing an atomic disintegrator, which I find really funny. The scientists don't seem to be working on government grants in a lot of these issues. They're just doing a lot of this stuff on their own.
Let me jump in here. I just received via email my official Red Cross CPR first aid certificate today.
Nice.
It's not the first time I've been certified. I have to do it for work, but it's particularly pertinent because this is very fresh in my mind. This is not how first aid works. It doesn't work with the follow me and I'll give you first aid.
Right. Get up off the ground and walk this way.
Yeah. Come over here. We'll go inside. We'll do, no,
good point.
Yeah. I just sat through this class. That's not how first aid.
Yeah.
Okay. I will qualify. It's not how first aid works now.
Right.
Okay. I can say that now. So yeah.
I did take some very remedial CPR classes at work because I'm a member of leadership.
Right.
And they're like, you know, the first thing you should do is go call 911. Tell somebody to go call 911. Then you don't. Could you get up off the ground and follow me up these stairs? And we'll wrap some bandages around you.
I'll check you out over there if you'll come over here, and I'll see to you over here.
But this guy, you know, he's a 1930s man with slick back hair and a pencil thin mustache. You can't trust somebody like that.
I dig his white. Is that a single breasted? Is that what that's called? With the button on one side.
It's like the Star Trek movie uniforms.
Right. Only in white. He's not a red shirt. He's
But it's through this accident that Clark learns that this guy is doing these experiments and has discovered what could be one of the most powerful weapons in the world in his apartment.
Responsible for this building falling on Clark to open the story. So
and Clark's only admonishment is to say, I'd suggest that in the future you be more careful you don't destroy yourself or innocent parties. And then goes back to work and writes an article up about it. And who should read the article but the Ultra-Humanite, who's like, this sounds interesting. I should get me one of these.
I need an atomic disintegrator.
And she uses a poor cat to, sticks a cat in a fence so that she can lure this Terry Curtis guy over to help her with this cat. And then my favorite part is when Clark comes to check up on him later, and he's brushing his hair with two different brushes.
Yes.
It says, Says, I'm to meet the loveliest girl in the world tonight. She resembles Dolores Winters, the actress. And Clark ignores it completely until later, the next page, when he
panels later.
Yeah, he's like in a car, in a cab, and he just suddenly goes, it occurred to me this girl resembling Dolores might possibly be Ultra. I may be wrong, but I want to warn Curtis at once.
Well,
love that.
Who else could it be if it,
Right.
yeah, okay.
And then, and of course, you know, the Ultra shows up at Terry's house or Terry's apartment that's now fixed up. I guess he got a new place.
Yeah.
Kidnaps him, puts him aboard a fantastic auto gyro, which is pretty awesome.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Puts the atomic disintegrator on an airplane. Love that. Actually blows up a building. It's like at this point, Superman's finally getting to that level. Because there's a couple moments I wrote down that, you know, first of all, evil genius, mad scientist, brain in the body of a woman destroys a building. Check. That's awesome.
Right.
We find out that her hidden lair is in an extinct volcano's crater. Check. That's pretty awesome. In a glass sheathed city.
Forgot some equipment though.
What did I forget?
The auto gyro.
The auto gyro.
Okay.
That's awesome.
And the persuasion via the torture ray.
Yes. Yes, the torture ray. That's right.
Torture
I'll do anything you say, only turn off that light. The torture ray never fails. Yeah, that's great.
At first, you know, as I'm reading, I read what he said, and I'm like, the light? They're hurting me with the light. And
the light is really bright.
The torture ray never fails. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, extinct volcano, hidden layer underneath a glass dome, basically, and huge metal robot guards.
Yeah,
this is everything I've wanted out of Superman.
We're starting to get it all now in one story. All the biggies here.
Yep, and Superman, of course, destroys the two. He calls them huge metal robots, but they're the same size as him.
Yeah, as him. They like you would think of like robot guards or something. You know, they just.
I mean, when they were running at him, and he's saying, "What the." Huge metal robots. I'm like, yes, finally Superman's going to fight giant robots, but apparently he's used to much smaller robots.
So,
but when he gets to the lab, the evil lab,
there's a man / size joke in there somewhere because Superman. Yeah. So okay, sorry.
Terry tells him, you know, not to come in because Ultra has rigged up a photoelectric beam across the room. If Superman breaks it, the city of Metropolis will be automatically destroyed. That's some next level stuff right there.
It is.
And then
Ultra isn't playing anymore. She's serious.
Yeah, I love her. I didn't really care much for the Ultra-Humanite in his first couple appearances, but by this point, I'm just in love with this character.
Yep.
And so what she does, you know, because he's like, I'm not leaving without Terry. And she says, okay, well, I'll give them to you, but I need you to go steal these crown jewels. And then he's like, all right. And he takes off. And the first thing she does is call the police, basically, and narcs on them.
Yeah.
And so like the National Guard and the police, they're all waiting for him. They shoot at him with a cannon. That's about as far as I got.
First off.
Yeah,
as first thing they see him, they don't. Let's see, they don't even. No, they do talk to him. Come down from there.
Come down
is what
from
they
there,
say,
and then bam,
and then they shoot a cannon at him. And it's one of these World War I kind of cannons.
Oh yeah, it's
as far as the style.
Yeah.
And it works. I mean, it doesn't hurt him. I don't think it hurts him really, but he's standing on top of a telephone pole or a power pole, and basically they blast the top of the power pole, and he comes falling down with the debris.
Now, looking at the next page, I'm really excited to see him hanging from a ledge, and B, somebody attacking him with an axe from a window.
Yes. Yes, sticking out the window to attack him from
Yeah,
inside the building. So
this issue has it all.
apparently they knew that he was going to be there. Somebody, it's like, well, why is the guy? Who knows? But he is.
Oh my goodness! And then the next page, they drop a safe on him. Come
Yeah,
on.
from the roof.
That's something that the National Guard has set up. They drop a safe on him from the top of a roof.
And Soup catches it with one hand. He's
yeah,
like, pow.
whatever. They must think it's Christmas the way they toss gifts around. Yeah, and throws it right back up at him.
Because what he does is he hefts it up
Yeah.
to the roof again, and the soldiers scatter because now it is coming at them up
Yep.
over the roof. Yeah.
Oh, and then this guy here thinks he's going to take Clark out or Superman out with a bayonet.
With a bayonet. Yes.
Yeah, this guy was not paying attention apparently.
Nope. He dangles him over the edge of the building and says, tells the rest of the soldiers, tell them to leave me alone or I'm going to drop you. And the sergeant says, do as he says, you fools.
He says, you fools. So fill me in. What? Okay. So yeah,
he brings the soldier back, and Superman gets away by diving down through the skylight. Of course, all roofs have skylights in the city.
They really do.
It's standard. Really do. So he jumps down through the skylight, which takes him to the room where the jewels are. But the police are waiting for him. He completely ignores them, goes over to the big safe and starts ripping the door off and everything. Now, this is what got me. He goes inside the safe. Right, he's rummaging around for these jewels. In the midst of, we're told, disregarding tear gas and rapid fire machine guns, Superman battles his way to the crown jewels. Now, wouldn't anything that he grabs up be shredded? But I mean, you can see these Thompsons by 5, 6, 8 guys on the outside just shooting into the safe.
That's awesome.
And then to escape, he just goes over here and just goes through the wall.
It looks like he doesn't have a head. He just goes head first into that wall.
Into the wall, yeah, to get out through the wall. Now, when he gets outside, the Air Force is waiting for him there.
Oh my goodness.
So it says, as Superman's figure emerges from the building, waiting airplanes swoop toward him, firing full blast. Now, we already know that Superman doesn't fly yet. He just jumps. He leaps and falls. So to avoid these planes, Superman outmaneuvers and loses them amidst the fleecy clouds. Now, if that doesn't say the man flies, I don't know what else they could say.
What it tells me is that these pilots have no idea what they're doing, because he has to do is jump into a bank of clouds and they're like, oh my goodness, he's disappeared.
And he can't hang up there forever.
No.
I mean, the laws of physics still apply if all he does is jump. So
it's like, just give it 5 seconds, guys.
He's going to come down. But
give it 5 seconds. He'll come out from the bottom of these clouds.
They completely lose him. So now he heads back to the volcano. Jewel's in tow. Hands him over to is getting ready to hand him over to the Ultra-Humanite. But Ultra/Winters springs a trap. And it is a box that springs up from the floor and surrounds him on all 4 sides, and it has diamond drills in it, drilling him, gonna impale him.
Here are the crown jewels, and here's your reward: diamond drills. So it's a double cross, eh?
And with a surge of his powerful abdominal muscles,
oh my goodness,
and the diamond drills' hardest substance on Earth are shattered. A surge of his powerful abdominal muscles. And the diamond drills, hardest substance on Earth, are shattered. Okay, I get it there. I read that weird. Sorry.
And then here comes a guy in a tank top with a shotgun. Again.
No, it's not a shotgun.
Oh, it's a disintegrator. Okay.
It's a handheld disintegrator.
Wow, sweet.
Yeah. So he tries to shoot Soup with that, and he knocks him out. This other dude, who I don't see where he came from. I guess he's just another lackey, basically. Well, grabs up Lois.
Is that Terry?
Or no, yeah. I'm sorry, that's Terry and that's Miss Winters.
Yeah.
/Ultra. My bad.
She's trying to get to the switch so she can destroy Metropolis.
Right. Since Superman's not doing what he's supposed
Yeah.
to, he's not being defeated. So here Superman takes that disintegrator, the handheld disintegrator that he has, and shoots that control panel that Ultra was trying to flip the switch on, getting rid of that threat. So as he is demolishing the lair, Winters / Ultra jumps through a window to escape.
Into the volcano's crater.
And essentially that's the last we see of her.
Well, Superman, look, he's throwing rocks down on top of her.
Well, no. he's throwing rocks to get the volcano to explode.
Oh, goodness gracious.
To destroy the city.
Ugh.
Or the lair, which works. That's exactly what happens. Terry in tow, takes him back, delivers him. Well, leave it go at that. Forget you ever succeeded in disrupting the atom, right? Because it was an atomic disintegrator.
Disintegrator.
Right. And then this is what launched me down a brief Spectre rabbit hole, was this advert. Probably his first appearance in More Fun Comics 52, which came out within a month or two after this.
This may be my favorite Superman story thus far.
All right.
It
was a good one.
Really,
it was solid.
It just kept amping up. Every time you think that it's not going to get more exciting, it just gets more exciting.
Yep. Yeah, this I think really put... up until now, the Ultra-Humanite has been persistent, but this one, last issue and this one together, which almost is a continuation of the story, almost, but Ultra really jacks up trying to get at Superman,
which is really kind of funny because if she just would have taken the jewels and let him leave with Terry, she'd still have a lair. But no, she has to try to kill him. And it leads to we have to assume, they're making us assume once again that Ultra is dead.
Is gone, right?
But nah.
But yeah,
the next question is going to be, okay, so I remember when we were talking about the Ultra-Humanite a couple episodes back, and how we know that at one point, I don't know if it's pre-crisis or post-crisis, the Ultra-Humanite is a big gorilla.
Big white gorilla.
Yeah, so here we have the Ultra-Humanite having his brain transplanted into a woman's body. So is that how he becomes a gorilla?
I think so. I think I remember reading that it was his brain that had been put in that body.
Interesting. Wow. So now the big question is going to be, when are we going to see the Ultra-Humanite again? And will he still be Dolores Winters or somebody else?
Let's see. Oh no. Bad news. Spoiler? You want to hear a spoiler?
Yeah, everybody, this is a spoiler for 80 years ago.
This is the last time we see Ultra for a while.
Okay, well,
but in 2 issues of action, we see the first appearance of his real archvillain, Superman's. So
Lex Luthor?
In 2 issues, he's replaced by the big guy.
It's very interesting when you think about the fact that the original version of Superman, way back when Jerry Siegel was just writing prose stories for his own self-published magazine, and Joe Shuster was drawing the pictures, to just illustrations, simple little illustrations to accompany the story. That the original Superman was a bald man who was basically super smart and used his powers for evil, basically. And his first big villain, once we get the Superman the way he is, once they start making the comics, his first big villain is a bald guy who is a super evil genius, and then that guy goes away and they replace him with another super evil genius bald guy.
Bald guy. Yep.
What is their deal with bald men?
I take umbrage with that, whatever
Yeah.
the issue is.
You should be offended by that. I think what Schuster and Siegel were trying to say is that bald, first of all, means super smart. So you got that going for
Okay,
you.
I'll take that. I'll go with that. That's
But
that's
it
cool.
also means evil.
Bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I don't cotton to. I'm not digging that.
You can't trust those bald guys. Not only are they super smart, they're shifty. They're evil. They're going to
Man,
use that
that's
smarts to take over the
yeah,
world.
yeah. Makes me feel a certain kind of way about my person. I
Yeah.
don't think yeah.
Not cool.
Now here's something interesting. I pulled up the Wikipedia entry. Take
Okay.
that as you will for Ultra, and it says the Ultra-Humanite was reintroduced during the Silver Age as a recurring villain in the Mr. and Mrs. Superman feature in Superman Family. Okay.
Okay.
That title was published from 74 to 82. Wouldn't that make it Bronze Age?
I know that the very little research I've done on the various ages in comics, the Golden Age, of course, it starts Golden Silver Age. Their start is very uncontested. It's like this is when it started.
Right.
This is when the Golden Age started. Silver Age started with like Green Lantern and
39 to 56, I think, is usually where but see, for me, I usually consider 70 to 85 as the Bronze Age.
Yeah, that's what I've always.
But that's right in the heart of that.
Yeah,
and they were saying Silver Age, and I'm like, I don't.
I do know that the start of the Bronze Age is fairly contested.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Same with the modern age, I think.
Yeah, there were certain earmarks that happened at one company, and then like 3 or 4 years later, they started happening at the other company. So exactly, Doug. That's exactly what that is.
Doug's pointing out the bald slander.
I'm offended. Like I said, it makes me feel a certain kind of way with my person, and that is not appropriate. I deserve better than that.
That's right. So to fight against that bald oppression. For me, when they talk about the modern age, though, when folks talk about the Bronze Age and how it ends around 85, 86, for me, because that's when I started reading books, and it's hard for me to think of that time being so long ago. That's modern age for me. When I started reading comics, that's when the modern age began. But
plus, let's throw in the fact that your personal golden age occurred around when you were, what is it they say, 7 or 12?
Yeah,
something like that. Your personal golden age. Yeah. So, but yeah, just the dates. I thought that was just kind of late to be saying that was in the Silver Age.
So are we not going to see? We don't see Ultra-Humanite again until the Silver Age. Is that
until that book, Superman Family?
Okay, so
when he starts appearing.
That's it, folks. You probably unless
he's gone for about 40 years or so.
Yeah, unless Ed and I can manage to keep this podcast going for 40 years, we're probably not going to talk about it.
Right. We may not talk about Ultra again, but that's okay because we got a biggie coming up to take his place.
Yeah, we may have to if we hit. Well, I'll say it here: if we hit 100 episodes, maybe for episode number 100. We'll skip ahead and we'll look at that first reappearance.
The next
Ultra-Humanite.
Okay, because he is our favorite villain, and so
he was Superman's first evil genius arch nemesis.
To celebrate that, we will. Okay, we'll pull him out of continuity like a monitor, and
that's right.
Ooh, there's a throwback or a deep dive there. Throwing out the monitor. Sorry.
Yep.
I've been reading that too, along with someone here on the show and John Wilson talking about it. And so
I finally managed to finish what I would consider the first draft of the next episode of Event or Else.
Okay.
And in fact, my plan, if you listen to episode 299 of Just Another Fanboy, I said it's going to be like 3 more weeks before I do episode 300. So during those 3 weeks, I'm going to do like a best of clip show, each, 3 of those. Well, I'm still not done with the first one. And I'm like, I'm not doing 2 more of these. This takes too freaking long. I've started and stopped that stupid episode 4 times. And so at this point, it's like, all right, I'm invested. I'm getting this one done. And then the next 2 weeks, I'm just another fanboy. I'm going to focus on getting that episode of Event or Else out. Cause I really want to finish Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I look ahead to what other events I got coming up, and I want to get to them. So I want to do some Secret Wars 2. I want to do some Millennium.
Don't script. Just do it off the cuff.
Yeah.
Just sit there and look through the book.
If it was an audio podcast, if it was just an audio podcast, if I wasn't doing the whole video, because it's a video show is what it is. It's just, there's also an audio version of it as well. So that's why I script it, so I can try to keep the episodes concise and tight. And that's the only reason I do it. And unfortunately, scripting involves writing. And I've always been one of those writers that I could go 6 months writing the crap out of stuff and just vroom, 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 and then it just ends. I just hit a wall and then I'm like done for 2 years. It's really weird how that works for me, because I sit down and I'm like, all right, I'm going to work on this script, and I go, I'm done. I can't do anymore.
Oh man, this sucks.
Yeah, I just can't do it. So yeah. All right.
I think I'm good, sir.
Yeah. The best action comic story so far, I think. It really checked off a lot of boxes for me.
I agree.
And the fact that I didn't even finish it, and I got to finish it live as we were recording, that made this episode a little bit more special. Episode number 30, folks, on a very special episode of the Superman Super Show.
Okay.
All right, wrap it up.
I think this ending bit is yours, isn't it? Since I stole the last one.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Oops.
All right. I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us a line, ask us a question, or just provide feedback in general, you can send an email to thesupermansupershow@gmail.com. I can't help but think back to an episode of Boom Addiction where Chris was talking, he was reading that ending of the episode and talking about the email. And then he got like, really, nobody's sending us any emails. He was like really kind of jokingly upset about it. And I think that's when I sent that email, the only email I've ever sent you guys. I think about that every time, because nobody has sent us an email. But that's all right. You can find us on Twitter under the handle @SoupsSuperShow, or come join the fun over on the forum at forum.justanotherfanboy.com. All those links will be in the show notes. And so until next week, folks, I'm Steven, and that's Ed, and this was the Superman Super Show. Bye.
Ciao.
Dude, you're wearing a Thor shirt. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I have a Star Wars shirt on.
Oh, yeah. Last night I read probably the best Star Wars book I believe I have read.
Okay, what is it?
It was called Star Wars Visions.
Star Wars Visions.
Comic? Yeah. It was in black and white. It came out last week or the week before, and it was very Japanese samurai, lone wolf and cub.
Okay.
Zatoichi. Just it had everything about that culture that I really dig.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. Okay. And if I may, if you talk about Secret Wars 2 in a podcast, just stick to the main series.
Oh yeah, that's the whole
don't do the tie-ins.
Yeah, when that'll, I think, be the fun part of Secret Wars 2, because that's kind of the idea with Event or Else, is that I'm only reading the line-wide events, and I'm only sticking to those main books, and I'm going to see if I can follow the story based on, because that's supposed to be the point, is that you can just read those main books and get the story. But I know that, like with Secret Wars 2, I tried to reread it again a few years back, and I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on.
It's difficult.
And yet some of the tie-in stories, like the one that jumps off the top of my head, because I was just listening to the episode the other day, Captain America number 308, where he fights the armadillo. That's supposed to be a Secret Wars tie-in issue. And the Beyonder's in it for maybe a panel and a half.
Right. Yeah. He pops in and pops out.
Yeah. It's like, that's not really a tie-in issue. But
yeah,
I do remember at the time, the end of like most books that were out during Secret Wars, there was always that one page that was like, follow the adventure, and it would show you what books that month had Secret Wars 2 in it. And
but yeah, I mean, there's what is that? Secret Wars 2 is like 8 or 9 issues. So you say issues. 9, so that's 9 months. Every month was like 4 to 6 to 8 other other books that it tied it. It's like,
because they didn't. It's like they didn't do that with Secret Wars, and so with Secret Wars 2, they really. It's like, let's just try to get as many books sold as we can.
My goodness, yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to read. The DC Infinite Universe app, they just recently offered this Ultra upgrade. I don't know if you
I saw that. More books.
So everything is Marvel has always been, their books on their app are 3 months old. Okay. And DC has always been 6 months old. Now it's just a month old. And so I got that. And I've been trying to read Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it's, as much as I'm enjoying a lot of these new DC books, that one's just it's not easy to get through so far. There's just it's not only the multiverse anymore, it's the multiverse, and there is a multiverse of multiverses now.
Yeah.
It's like Earth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now multiverse 1, multiverse 2. And it's like, come on. The whole point of the Crisis on Infinite Earths was to make things easier.
Get it right.
Which they failed at within months of Crisis anyway.
And anyway.
But what's he say? Oh yeah, okay. They did that Disney. There was a show on Disney Plus, Star Wars Visions, and it was all anime versions of Star Wars. It's good stuff. So this must be the comic book version, manga version.
And I think it was just a one-off. So I maybe they just aped one of the episodes of that.
I've been meaning to. Did you ever read the first Star Wars expanded universe novel, Splinter of Mind's Eye, from like back in the?
No, I don't think I've read any Star Wars novels.
Yeah, I used to read them a lot back in the. I think with the Thrawn trilogy, but I've been meaning to pick that up on the Kindle because I've never read it, and it's supposed to be, everybody's always like, this is what the sequel to Star Wars was supposed to be. And I don't know. All right. I should probably stop recording.
We have all this good banter on here.
Save this episode. SMS is 30.
This was 30?
Yeah. So I was, during my time off when I wasn't podcasting, I like to just kind of but just noodle in the old head and be like, ooh, what if I did this? And what if I did that? And what if I, what if I podcasted about this? I want to do a screen share and show you this thing I made that probably will never happen. It's just one of these things that one day I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do next. And, it may be, but I got to find it. Where did it go? Artwork, logos. Okay, I'm going to do now I can't even find our screen. Okay, there it is. Now I'm looking at you. Where's the share?
It was the first episode they did as a comic. Okay. Man, that comic was awesome. I dug that so much. I'll have to dig out and watch that in moving panels then, because that'll be cool.
You see that?
The Superman Project?
Yeah, I thought so. I originally first started reading Superman comics with the John Byrne run.
Right.
Never finished the John Byrne run. I don't remember why. I know I wasn't buying the issues. My older brother was. He was the one actually buying comics at the time. And then he would just let me read what he bought. And so I don't know if he just he just decided he didn't want to get Superman anymore. And so then at some point during the John Byrne run, I just wasn't reading Superman anymore. And I didn't pick it back up again until the death of Superman.
Okay.
And so now it's like, all right, well, my biggest gap is, of course, I never read Golden Age Superman. I'm taking care of that right now. But I started post-crisis Superman, stopped reading post-crisis Superman, and picked it back up with the death of Superman. I've never read anything in between. And John Reads Comics has been, he tweets about his Superman read through that he's doing.
Right.
And he's in the middle of the Panic in the Sky storyline, which is like
90s, 91, 92.
Well, it's before the death of Superman. It was like right after the Triangle era started. So yeah, it'd be like 89, 90.
Yeah.
The first really big crossover amongst the titles before the death of Superman. And I've never read it. And I'm like, I should go back and read all that stuff. And then of course, when I start thinking about stuff like that, I can't just go, I should go back and read that stuff and just read it for the fun of it. No, I got to be like, maybe I should make a podcast now. I just need to go back and I did. I went and reread the 6 Man of Steel issues, which.
Well, instead of that, why don't you do a blog post?
Yeah, I thought about that as well. Doing like the read along over on the forum.
maybe a blog post for like every storyline.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Every story.
Yeah. But right now I'm just going to read. And if I feel like writing some notes and saying something about it on somewhere on the internet, I will. Yeah. But I spend too much time anymore. Almost, yes, Doug, the Thrawn trilogy was great. That should have been the 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
That should have been 7, 8, 9, the movies.
The third trilogy, the second trilogy, however they did it.
But, yeah, I just, one of the things that I kind of thought about when I stepped away for a moment is just like, you spend a lot of time. There's so many books that I want to read that I'm not reading because it's like, I can't read that yet because I want a podcast about it. So I don't want to read it now, but yet I'm not ready to do an episode for another 3 months. It's like, stop that, just read for the fun of it.
Yeah.
You've
got plenty of things lined up to podcast about. That's taken care of. Don't make everything a job.
Yep.
The only
thing I know for sure at this point is that I'm going to keep going with Just Another Fanboy and Just Another Fanboy Presents. I'm going to do this and possibly the second season of Just Another Fanboy Presents. I'm going to do the Elf Quest. I'm going to stop doing it on Just Another Fanboy. We'll wait until I'm done with the death of Superman. And I thought I would read the original quest, but the Marvel Comics version because those, because they're slightly different because they had to put them in those smaller books. And so instead of being 20 issues, it's like 36 issues.
Yeah.
So I thought that'd be more fun because that's how I read the original quest was the Marvel Comics versions.
Okay.
So, all right. This was fun. We should, I don't know if I'll be able to do this right away next week, but maybe we should plan on 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're 4 weeks ahead now. We got the first episode will go out on Monday. So
that would be 1/8/15. It'd be on the 15th.
Yes, the 15th.
Okay.
Doug, John Byrne is my favorite Superman as well. That's the Superman I grew up with. As far as the comics were concerned, my first introduction to Superman was, of course, the Super Friends. But when it came to the comics, John Byrne was my Superman. And I don't know why I never finished it. I need to. So I recently read through Man of Steel, though, those first 6 issues, which was fun. There's a lot of it that I don't think holds up anymore. That 6th issue was just kind of all right, but yeah, looking forward to getting back into
just read to
a John
read.
Byrne run. Yeah, that's the plan.
Just read to read. And actually, if you do feel the need to, that you want to share something about what you've read, the Clone Saga and Image 30th on the
I know, right?
forums are still there for you to do.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah. Yep.
if you get the hankering to do something like that,
And I read Wildcats #1 recently. I just need to write it. I just need to write
well,
something about
yeah.
it.
So see there,
So
you've got that
yeah.
avenue if that's what you want to do after having
Yep.
read. So
I
yeah,
know. My brain. I don't know why I make things so much more difficult for myself, but
don't, because man, what happens is the last 3 weeks, and
exactly.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's what's going to happen. It,
Yeah.
it just yeah, you got to. That's kind of why I think I'm becoming a fan of when I feel the urge to sit down and record as much as I can, and then don't worry about the fact
Yeah.
that I don't feel that urge for 2 months.
Yeah.
It, you know,
The not last week, the week before last. I mean, I've got 7 full episodes recorded for Just Another Fanboy Presents because that's what I
awesome,
did.
awesome.
Since I didn't have anything else going on, every day I read an issue and then sat down and recorded an episode about
That's
it.
groovy. Yeah,
And
see, that's
I was
yeah.
like, this is because that's the way Just Another Fanboy used to be. I would, when I was recording from my car, it used to be 5 days a week.
Mhm.
I always managed to get to work about 30 to 45 minutes early. And so I'd sit out in the parking lot at, 7:30 in the morning
Read a
and
book
record
and
15 or 20 minutes worth of
yeah,
episode and then edit it down during lunch and have it up the next day. And now I overthink it too much and I got to stop doing that.
don't
And we
don't
talked about this last time.
don't
I'm
make
getting
it a
better at it.
production. It doesn't have to
Right.
be a
Exactly.
production.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be.
Exactly.
If you want to, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine, but
Uh-huh.
it doesn't have to be. It's
Exactly. And that's the thing when I've been going back and listening to those old episodes, trying to put a clip show together. It's like the first thing I noticed, and that's what's kind of got my wheels spinning and telling myself I'm being an idiot, is that I listened to episodes over the last 6 months compared to episodes from 3 years ago. Those episodes from 3 years ago are a lot more fun. And those are literally just off the top of my head,
right.
talking into a phone, sitting
Right.
in my car. Not,
They're
I got to type out all these notes and I got to put the
they're
book in
just
front of me and all that crap.
doing it to do it.
Yeah.
Just yeah. Yeah, that makes a big difference is how you approach it. What you set yourself up to do. This is what I need to do. No, it's
Right.
not. You don't
Life is
need to do anything. You
life is what
just
happens when you're making other plans and then it just ends up stressing me out. So I got to stop planning
yeah,
and just
don't.
freaking just do stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. I got to quit sweating it. I got to stop worrying about, oh my gosh, I got to get an episode out this week. Let me force a book into my brain.
No,
No, there just won't be an
it,
episode out that week. People aren't
that's
going to die,
that's it.
you know?
And 6 months from now, they won't be
No,
able to tell.
exactly. Yeah. Nobody cares.
You
Matter of
know.
fact, I don't remember who said it on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. They were like, somebody was talking about a new podcast and they were like, I'm listening to so many podcasts right now and most of them don't take a break. I usually try to listen to new podcasts when something I'm listening to takes a break. And since nobody's taking a break, I can't listen to new podcasts. And it's like, see, people appreciate you taking a break once in a while.
I was going to say,
You
yes, you
know?
can. That's the whole point of
Yeah.
a podcast is to listen to it when you want to,
Right.
where
Yep.
you want to.
That's why I've always never, when you hear a lot of people talk about the first rule of podcasting is that you make a schedule, you stick to it. And if you tell people you're going to release an episode every Thursday, then you release an episode every Thursday because that's how you lose listeners. And I've never stopped
Okay.
listening to a podcast because
No.
they missed a week. It's like a lot of podcasts I listen to, I don't even know what day of the week they release.
Exactly.
because
Because when
they
you
just go
listen
into my
to it,
queue. Yeah,
yeah, it's like,
exactly.
I don't know.
There
Yeah.
are certain ones I met, like back in the half hour wasted days. And quiet panelologists at work. I looked forward to the days that those released. I was ready the that morning to listen on the way to work, but otherwise, they're in my queue.
Yep.
I'll get to them when I get to them.
That's right.
That's why you shouldn't talk about the new hotness.
It puts a lot of pressure on you to keep that
Yep.
up
Yeah, it really
because,
does.
if your goal is to be among that, then yeah, every week, that's what you chose to do. It's yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with television shows that are current. If
Yep.
you want to talk about the latest episode of whatever, well, then you're going to have to do it every week,
Yeah.
hell or high water. It it
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, if you're making money doing that and that's all you
Well,
do, that's a
that's
different thing.
that's
That's an
entirely
easier
different.
way to do it. But yeah, when you got so much other stuff going on in your life, yeah, yeah, that's what I've been waking up to over the last 3 to 4 weeks. It's like, stop it.
Well, my wife and I, we do a show that I feel the pressure of keeping it timely,
The
and
the
that's
dance fever.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pressure. I mean,
Yep.
it's like, oh man, we need to watch this tonight because then tomorrow night we can watch this and then we can record and I can
Yep.
have it out just 2 days after whatever it is. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and it's okay. I understand that that's what I've chosen to do, but it's
Yeah.
there.
I've been there too. It's like 9 times out of 10 doesn't even bother you, but it's that 10th time that you're just like, oh, I got to do an episode this week, and
Yep.
it's like, yeah,
Oh, I don't
yeah, I
want
get
to
it.
today. Today
Yeah.
was shite, and I don't want to. Yeah,
Yep.
doesn't matter. It's the only day you
Yeah.
can do it.
Yep. Yeah. And the 2 things that got me thinking most about that was the Superman books and the Madman books. It's
Okay.
like, why haven't I finished reading Madman yet? Because I don't want to read it because I just put an episode out about Madman 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to do another one right away. And no, just read the freaking
So
Madman
what?
books and have fun with it.
Yeah.
If I read issue number 9 of Madman today, and I do want to do an episode about it, but I can't do it for another 7 weeks, fine. Reread it again 7 weeks from now. You could be at issue 20 by now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've been reading some Madman.
Cool. Cool
I
beans.
love that book. It's so weird that I never finished the Dark Horse Madman.
Mhm.
But then when he stopped and then he came back and did Madman for Image, started reading those books, and then never finished those either.
Didn't finish that one.
So yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, you need to start reading just for fun. Read
Yeah.
Madman, read Superman from burn to death. Yeah, just
Yeah, and I had been doing the whole my 500 comic goal.
Mhm.
I stopped posting about that stuff. I've probably hit over 1,000 by now, but it's like after I hit 500, this is my 3rd year doing it, and after a while, it's just like again, it becomes a chore. It's like, all right, I got to take a screenshot, and then I got to
right.
post about it,
I
and
get
it's
it.
like, it's I sat on the couch a couple of weeks back, and it was like on a Saturday, and I read, I think on the DC app, I read like 30 or 40 books, and I'm
There you
like,
go.
I didn't say anything to anybody about it. I didn't post anything about it, and I'm just like,
I just
at
did
one
it.
point, I was like, oh crap, man, it's my count is way off, and then I just
Right,
was,
yeah.
so what,
Can I remember what they were?
Yeah, it's like, okay, so I'm gonna have to go back and put. No, you don't. Just keep
Just
reading, and that's
just read.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't posted a my 500 comic goal tweet in a while, and I've probably read 300 or 400 comics
Well,
since
there
the
you
last
go.
one.
I mean,
So
you hit your goal. That's all
yeah,
that matters with that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And I don't know if I'll do it next year. On the one hand, it's like I hear Peter Rios talking about how you know I have a written record
Yeah, I
of every book I've ever bought and when I bought
when
it. And
and
it's like,
where, and I'm like,
yeah, it's like that would be
"Oh,
totally cool if I could pick up,
wow."
if I had that, but we think about doing it.
Yes. in retrospect,
Yeah,
it
it
sounds
sounds
cool.
great. Yeah.
Sitting
Yep.
and doing it every
Yep.
time you buy a book. Oh,
Yeah. Having to think about that. It's like, I'm gonna go get comics today. Okay, well, make sure you have a pen and everything,
right,
and some people just can do that.
right.
Some
Yeah, they're just,
people can
and I think that's
journal every
Peter.
single day. Yeah. Yeah,
Peter
that's
is
just who
just that
Peter
way.
is. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
I've tried it, but I just can't. I can't keep up with it. And so
Yeah.
eventually, I'm like, I don't want to eat myself up about it. So I won't decide to do it. I'll just
Yep. It's like you get that moment where you're like, I want to be like that. And then you realize I can't be like that,
right. Yeah, it's like I can't do
Yeah.
it. No,
No.
that's a Peter thing. I'll
Yeah,
let him have it.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
All right. Doug, thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, the Action Comics team issues are those are the best ones, and they are
Burn
the best
Action
looking
Comics.
ones. Yeah, because he did a lot of books at that time. He was doing Superman, Action Comics, and he managed to do that Legends
Okay.
event, like 6 or 7 or 8 issue event at the same time. Dude
Now
was
that wasn't Action Comics Weekly time, was it?
no,
Okay.
it was monthly.
Okay.
But they had the 3 Superman titles going on at the time. Superman, um, Adventures of Superman, which that is what Superman used to be.
Right.
They started Superman over at a #1 for John Byrne, and then they just retitled Superman as Adventures of Superman and kept the numbering. And
Okay.
so Adventures of Superman was like Jerry Ordway
Mhm.
and somebody else, Marv Wolfman and Jerry Ordway. And then John Byrne did Action and Superman. And then still managed to do a like a 6 or 7 issue event called Legends at the same time. So yeah. And I think Action Comics, I think, was the better looking one. And it did, like Doug said, it was like team up issue. He always had somebody else in the book, like
Okay.
like Marvel team up with Spider-Man and somebody. It was
Right.
Superman
Right.
teaming up with somebody. Those were fun. I'm gonna go read some right now.
There you go.
All right,
Jump
bye
to it.
guys. Peace out.
Peace.
Good night, Doug. Thank you for thanking us for a great show. I had a lot of fun. So look for the episodes starting on Monday. Bye, Ed.
Bye.
Probably end the broadcast first. I always forget that I have to do that.